crazy day. Obviously, you guys have heard about the attack at the Capitol. Another Capitol police officer has been killed and another one injured. The guy who rammed the gates was an African American male, follower of the Nation of Islam. And by the way, it should be a distinction, by the way, between sort of the Nation of Islam as an organization and the Muslim faith in general, in the same way that we kind of differentiate between Christianity, evangelicals, right-wing, kind of religious zealots, and the like. You know what I mean? There's a distinction to be had that just because you share the same book doesn't mean you interpret it the same way. And in a lot of cases, when we do have a problem with somebody, it's because they are, they subscribe to an extremist view of any particular religion. That's, there's a whole argument to be made that that religious zealotry and indeed orthodoxy is in many ways incompatible with secular democracy. It just can't. You can't fit the two. There's too much of a sort of biphrenic mental effect, and you can't believe that there's a sort of a holy word that judges and governs all people, like to the letter, and also believe that it's cool if other people believe something else. That's always been the push-pull. It's why a lot of right-wingers, quite frankly, have a belief that we need religious freedom in this country, and they talk about religious freedom, but they also, in the same breath, want America to be to literally be declared a Christian nation. That kind of thing. It simply does not match mentally in those situations. It's a horrible situation, and like what the Capitol Police have been through, and the fact that because of people like Chauvin and because of people like the right wing that have focused on G. Gordon Liddy just passed away, and one of the things that was never really revisited is that G. Gordon Liddy, well, you'll recall at one point, let's see if I can find the actual quote, had a so he was basically this was 1995. G. Gordon Liddy on his radio show talked about how you should kill ATF personnel when they come to your house in their wannabe ninja suits. Went to serve a warrant against the fundamentalist Christians here in Waco. He's talking about the Waco thing. That he talked about that you should shoot him in the head. That G. Gordon Liddy, who just passed away at 90 and was part of the Watergate crowd and all that kind of stuff, described how to shoot federal officers when they came to your home. And again, you have this thing where they're sort of targeted as around Waco, Ruby Ridge, and other stuff. The FBI has been kind of put on this weird right-wing, back burner as far as respect for law enforcement. And in many ways, Capitol Police and the security that works around the Capitol and the White House and other stuff, with the exception of the rare Secret Service agent, which they like the ones that like Trump, but they think the other ones are members of the deep state, all that craziness. That there's been this distinction between, I think almost every group has a version of the cops they hate right now. And so there's this kind of dismissive view of what can happen to them, as if any cop represents Chauvin, as if this Capitol police officer who was run down by a car today, or the one that was indeed, beaten to death on January 6th, he passed away the next day, that somehow, because somebody else did this, because the right-wing militias blame the FBI or government for Ruby Ridge and for Waco, that these cops who got up that morning, had breakfast, said goodbye to their families, deserve, it's beyond the sins of the father visited on the son, that just anybody who has the job deserves what they have coming to them. And there's a lot of that floating around, unfortunately. And it's not new. Like I said, this G. Gordon Liddy, a lot of people were shocked when he said this on the air. And I mean, nobody that listened to his belief systems or know that he was even as a Reaganite thinking that the government is the problem. A lot of these folks just carry that around in general, that the law applies to other people. When the cops go get your enemy or somebody you think is bad, then that's America. When they come for you because you're doing something bad, then that's UN shock troops and whatever fantasy deep state Pizzagate nonsense you want to cook up in your head, right? It's an extraordinary aspect of American society that's kind of it's got a lot of roots. But where I come from, growing up in Kentucky and in the Tennessee Valley and those kind of areas, and indeed in Alabama, Mississippi, I have no doubt most of the states below the Manson-Nixon line, as Robin Williams put it, talked about revenuers all the time. Revenuers being like the IRS, the revenuer guy, which was a word for tax collectors that would come with guns to take money from your, somehow your farmer's making a shit ton of money, but nobody buys corn down here. So you must be making corn alcohol and selling that. So we want to know where that money's coming from. And so revenuers became a catch-all phrase for all state troopers and federal police, anything that crosses a state line that they're dealing with. And they were viewed the same way. They step on your property and you hit them with a shotgun. That was, I mean, it's a pretty horrifying normal standard, because it's a ghost that's always in the mindset in a lot of these folks, that this concept of the federal government, revenuer dude who's going to take what's yours, and it's an attack on your Americanism, and that fits in very well in the same kind of group mentality that somebody like this dude who hit the Capitol feels about his own status as a member of the Nation of Islam and what Jews are doing, and that these cops represent, this anti-Semitic fantasy that this guy has and that Farrakhan has about who runs the government, and that if you're acting on those people's behest, then you've got it coming. It's not surprising, but there's the overlap in these groups is quite astounding. There is not oh, hello Belfast, how are you, Damien? And hi Canada, hi everybody. I haven't been talking to the chat because I'm kind of word vomiting on this topic, but there needs to be a recognition going forward that while you have to deal with the Chauvins of the world, and while people like Bill Barr are occasionally put in charge of the Department of Justice, that the issue of justice and the rule of law and the people that carry it out are not intrinsically the problem. That the FBI under J. Edgar Hoover is not the FBI of today. It just frankly isn't. And where there might be holdovers in individuals that want it to be that way, then those folks need to be addressed and broomed out. But acting as if, and this is the same nonsense we hear about, Republicans claiming that the Democrats were the party of slavery, when we all know that they switched streams around the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act, rather, in the 60s. The Northern Republicans and the liberal Democrats formed together into what we now know as the Democratic Party. And then the Dixiecrats, which were the, pro-Confederacy Democrats, all switched over to being Republicans. So the brand can't be more important. Both caring for the brand and hating on the brand cannot be equal, because they aren't. They frankly aren't. So anyways, that's what I'm going to say on that. Then we'll move on, and you guys can look into the detail of what's coming out, and draw your own conclusions from it. Draw raw conclusions, by the way. Am I? I think I'm on Facebook. We should be up on Facebook. Are we up on Facebook? Is everybody good? It seems to be live. We are all right. Thanks for joining me, everybody who's in today. And Nixon's strategy, all the conservative Democrats in the South switched to the GOP. That's exactly right. So we're live, aren't we? Mm-hmm. Where do we go? Yeah. It's very strange. I'm looking at the page on Restream, and it's just being very peculiar because I just reopened it, and it's there it is. Okay, good. Had me panic there for a minute. I got all these. All right, tonight is the night. By the way, I know I've got radio in the morning, but tonight is the night I'm switching over to the other computer, and I'll lose some of my little affectations for the show, but they'll have to go so that it all, at least in some form, is smooth broadcasting, which is the most important thing. All right, 12 minutes until I have to go back to work. Well, I'll try to make it count, Beth. Tonight on the show, on the big show, we've got the weirdest, like General Flynn, Mike Flynn. The only place he seems to be able to go right now is Flashpoint, the religious nutcase channel that we see sometimes. Good times. This guy Grant Stinchfield, he's on Newswax, and he's got a show called Stinchfield. I've never seen this guy together, but he's got vice principal written all over his face. Of course, we have Rudy has got a video entitled "The Video Biden Doesn't Want You to See." So, of course, we have to watch it. Apparently, it's a video that Rumble doesn't want you to see or doesn't want you to give a shit about, I suppose. Arizona's allegedly we'll see if we have time for this. Arizona's going to be a Second Amendment sanctuary state. Good times. Is it sort of a Gabby Giffords law that they want to pass? And by the way, Lindsey Graham being very Lindsey. And then, of course, we've got a piece of Hannity because Biden wants us all to know that Biden wants to control all of us. And that's a moose. I don't even want to discuss it. Just pretend you didn't see the moose. All right, let's go to... first of all, there's no way we're watching all of this crap. But I do want to show you... this is Flashpoint. There's our good friend... Hold on, I got to shrink this down because we can't miss Hank Kuhneman. And look at this Brady bunch of lunatics. You did not see the moose. This is not the moose you're looking for. So I always forget this dipshit's name, the host, and that's sad. And then Lanny Walnuts and Hank Kuhneman. By the way, October 2nd, I am now booked to do stand-up in Omaha, Nebraska, where Hank Kuhneman's church is located. That's going to be a long weekend, kids. That's right. I think I'm only there booked Friday and Saturday night, but you bet your ass I'm staying through Sunday. I'm going to have to walk in there with my 360 camera, just streaming the whole goddamn thing. Oh, yeah. And then we've got rando dude, General Flynn, who, even though he's obviously living in a Christian postcard now, still has to use his wired Apple AirPods, even though they're of the devil. And then, of course, Michael Lindell is in yet another dentist's office. And then this guy's probably their technical advisor. He's on a show called Thrive Time? Yikes. Oh, that's his setup. So it's called Thrive Time. And then that's his little ring light. And look at all the screens. I've got screen jealousy now. Look at the teeny little... That's cute. All right. So Flashpoint is having no doubt to let us know that Trump is going to be president by August.
Flynn, I want to start with...
Oh, God. I got to turn off the outside speakers. Yeah, start with Mike Flynn, please.
With you. We talked about all that's going on, and I know that Americans are sitting there glued to their sets tonight.
Yes.
They're wanting to know, what is it?
Yes, we're all... that even made him laugh. Yeah, people really are watching this. They're glued to their sets because people watch this on TV.
We want to hear from Michael Flynn.
Yeah, I'm riveted.
What happened there at the end? Because it's all real fuzzy, and I don't know what you can share and what you can't.
Well, obviously, there's still a lot of secrets because we still want... there's a lot... Hold on. I don't know why my soundboard isn't up. And I have a feeling I'm going to need it tonight. Just, there it is. Thank you, Farrago. Welcome. Just in case, we need...
I like wood.
You know what I mean? It could be. All right, so I can't tell if he's being sarcastic.
But tell us what happened in the...
669, new patron, yay!
What do the American people need to know about...
Yeah. We're on a need-to-know basis with Mike
What
Flynn.
happened at the end of November 3rd?
At the end of November 3rd. Oh, I know. They started counting the mail-in ballots, and Trump friggin' lost.
Well, I mean, I first of all appreciate you allowing me to come on here. I know this is
Yeah. Normally we don't let people like you on Christian shows, but
Michigan gave us Motang.
All right.
I think your 50th anniversary of the Flashpoint show.
Yeah, 50 years. 50 years. Maybe he's saying sets out of habit.
And I don't know what your whole audience is or who some of your audience members are.
I don't know who's still alive. I mean, if they started watching when they were 12, they might be Mike Flynn's age.
I understand that you have a lot of pastors, and I'm
Did you say 15? I hope so.
going to hit the pastors very hard here tonight.
Why are you going to hit the pastors? I'm for it.
Here's what I would tell you is that what I would call the hard left in our country is
Yeah. Well, some of us are harder than others.
I like wood.
working overtime to dismantle our Constitution and our constitutional republic.
Why? Why would we have to work overtime? Clearly, it's a 9 to 5 thing. We can pack it up early, and we'll be, sipping lattes while reading Marx by 7 o'clock every night.
And everybody needs to understand that. So,
yeah. Okay. All right. I'm trying. Let me try and understand that. Nope. I still don't.
joking aside and all the kidding that we can do with each other, this is a very, very serious time. We are
Oh, you were kidding till now. I see.
facing a transition in our country, transitioning from one path, which is the continuation of this experiment in democracy via our constitutional republic process and our Constitution and our
Constitution,
freedoms and everything that
freedoms and Constitution, and our constitutional freedoms and our rights and freedoms of the Constitution.
that comes with that, the sacrifices that come with that.
Yeah, like fries, the fries on the side, freedom fries, of course.
And the other path is this path towards socialism, Marxism, communism.
Yeah, whichever one you want. I mean, it's really going to be a buffet of isms.
They like to use cool words like progressivism and liberalism, but it really
They are cool words, I will say. Is liberalism a really liberalism? Is it a cool word? Hey, what's happening, liberalism? I don't know, progressivism. How you hanging? I don't know. I can barely see you with my sunglasses on. It's nighttime. It's dark in here.
really amounts to a socialist state and state controlled, and that's really what we're talking about. So all these things that you highlighted early on in your monologue, and some of the things that you just
Yeah, I'm sorry we missed it. I had to give a shit about something, so I missed it. But fill us in.
touched on with Clay. I mean,
With Clay.
that's really the two paths that we are on. It is
Right. It's a binary choice between freedom and Marxism. And right now, we're just crossing the streams. Cross the streams.
a massive, major transition point in the United States of America. And I will tell you that the
Even bigger than the black president thing. I mean, I would have thought that would have destroyed the entire country a long time ago.
people of this country believe in their hearts, and they know, and even the other side, I guess, if you will,
Yeah, if I will, and I will, but not every day, just on Tuesdays.
knows. And I hate to define it as two sides, because it's really not two sides, because we're
No, it's everybody's Marxist. What?
all Americans at the end of the day. And
We're all Americans, except of course the other half that apparently wants to turn us into the Soviet Union circa 1982, because that was fucking awesome.
guarantee that there is a lot of buyer's remorse out there in the country.
Is there though? You can listen to that shit. I heard Jesse Ventura single-handedly defeated 17 isms beneath the Denver airport with one arm tied behind his back. That is not indeed the fact. I did not. I fought 14 isms just going down in the elevator shaft. Then there were 3 more. It was like a big boss, but he broke off into 2 different sides. And I had 2 in a headlock, and I whacked the other one with my nuts. Knocked them all out. 50 extra points. 5 mushrooms. Ate them all in Baja.
For
What the fuck?
we know that 80 million voted for for Donald Trump, probably
No, we don't. We actually know they didn't.
65, 66 million people voted for Biden.
in of course, and of course, we know that you are absolutely at the juncture of sunset all day long.
That's my guess.
Yeah, guess again, asshole.
And that's kind of what we know to be true.
It's a guess, and by a guess, I mean things I know to be true.
I think those numbers are pretty clear.
Yes, I understand what 80 means, and I understand what 65 means. They're very clear. The order you kind of have fucked up a little.
Here's what I would just say. So,
thanks. I'm glad, Joan, you like it.
So what do we need? Well, we have.
Yeah, what do you need? What do you need from me? How can I help?
We really need to restore two components in this country.
Two components in this. We need a new timing belt, and
the first is and it's really a call to action. The first is sort of the cultural component, and that's the
sure, absolutely. Basically read only racist books that have been removed from regular reading by the people that were publishing them. Because if you can't make jokes about Chinese people's faces, or if you can't read an Agatha Christie book with the N-word on it, are you really free? I'm 5. You'll finish this book. Can we read Green Eggs and Ham? No. I don't even know this one. Neither do I. We're reading this for freedom.
That's the culture of who we are. Everything like from the 31 beautiful words in our Pledge of Allegiance, which really means it has a deep meaning for our country. The Pledge of Allegiance. It's a pledge
of allegiance. By the way, for the record, just in case you're wondering, I'm a Freemason. Some of you may know that. Some of you may not. At the beginning of our meetings, we say the Pledge of Allegiance. We really do. You know why? Because we mean it. Unlike this asshole.
Who we are as Americans, and it is a pledge, just as it says, of allegiance to the United States of America.
Oh, see, I didn't realize that. Next thing you're going to tell me the Lord's Prayer belongs to the Lord.
And it's we use the word God in that beautiful stanza that we call the Pledge of Allegiance. And the other sort of
yeah, we don't say Jehovah or Yahweh. We don't say we actually say God, which is a violation of actually the Old Testament scripts. Speaking the name of God. We use God's preferred pronoun. How do you like that shit?
Sort of call to action is.
By the way, beyond monotheism, these guys are unitheists. They believe that there is no other God but their God. Is monotheistic religions or any one. I mean, obviously it's copped from Ahura Mazda, and we'll talk about that on another day. But this asshole doesn't give a shit about the teachings of Jesus Christ. Are you kidding me? You're kidding me, right? That any of these assholes, they all think the throne is theirs.
It's really about our faith. And I think that...
Yeah, tell us about
in this
our
country,
faith.
This is really for the pastors, because I'm going to tell the pastors here in a second, and frankly, community leaders who watch this, and any of the other listeners that you have.
Yeah, pastors, community leaders. Pretty much that's it. I mean, basically, you're only talking to the people who are on there and me, apparently.
We all desire this simplified life, right? And I can tell you that my life has not been simple, certainly not over the last 4 years, but it's not been a simple life that I've led. It never is as a soldier.
No, but your understanding of topics is simple, so it kind of balances out.
It never is as a person who's decided to.
Alex Jones and Roger Stone broadcast a prayer for Matt Gaetz. What do you mean? Dear Lord, please have Matt Gaetz forward his contacts to us, and along with a price list. Amen.
To potentially sacrifice, one's life for the greater good or for the good of the country.
Or for the not good of the country, apparently, because if you were willing to sacrifice it for, apparently, the country turning Marxist because we're all Americans, but half of us are evil or some shit, you've lost me, Mickey.
But we all desire that simplified life. Forget about it. We're not going to have it. We're definitely not going to have it.
No, not with fucking phones. Are you kidding me?
Now, no.
Professor Funback, yes, exactly. I have no idea what this asshole is talking about either.
Or are we going to have it in the weeks, months, and years ahead?
No, it's going to be super complicated. Guys, get out your protractors and your slide rules.
And that's not what or how we are called to live. We are not called to live that way, Gene, in this life. Everybody.
Oh, his name is Gene. Thanks, Mike Flynn. It's like being at a party and hoping somebody introduces you to the person you're supposed to know the name of. Yeah, I know Gene.
He knows it. The older that you get, the more you know that you have more and greater sacrifices that you have to do for whether it's your family, whether it's your community, whether it's yourself. And everybody goes through these.
Yeah, I go through a lot of sacrifices for myself.
Different moments. I've seen.
Yeah, there's lots of moments. What the? Seriously?
Seen it on the battlefield, and I've certainly seen it inside of our own system of government, which really has just outgrown itself and
outgrown itself. What does that even mean?
And it really is a detriment to our country right now.
The government is a detriment to our country. I'm sorry. Do you have a country if you don't have a government?
It really, really is.
No, it really, really isn't.
And what we need to do, this is really...
Okay, what do we need to do? Sorry, I got to get a pen. Hold on. Hang out, guys. I just see, okay, let's see, find some paper. So I'm going to get something like this. And I'll try to, let's see, I'm going to need I'll be back in a second. I'm just trying to find here's a pen. I found one. I got, all right. Then I'll get a notebook and stuff because I don't want to miss, honest to God, I don't want to miss any of this. Yeah, so. Go ahead, Mike.
Really for the pastors, what you need to do for the pastors.
It's for the pastors. I'll wait. Oh, wait, I'm ordained. I can actually, I'm ordained in the Universal Church, where I can marry people and stuff. Just call me Pastor Sparks. Or by my nickname, Pastor Ketchup, Pastor Mashed Potatoes.
Or those that are community leaders. You need to ensure.
All right, well, that qualifies. Well, community leader sounds like communism, so I don't necessarily feel comfortable with that. Why are you, Mike Flynn? Why are you giving help and aid and comfort to communists? Community leaders, communism leaders. See what I mean? It's okay.
Sure that we have what I call it uninterrupted communication with the people of our communities. And
okay, cool. We need an uninterrupted with our people of our community. So basically you're saying like a 24-hour live stream where we just try to stay awake the whole time. Good. That'll help us think clearly. All right.
That uninterrupted communication can't...
Yeah, never stop talking. Never stop to listen. Okay, good note. Thanks, Mike Flynn. Never listen, always talk. Okay, gotcha. All right, this is good stuff.
Can't be through Zoom chats or
Zoom chat's probably the best way to do it because then you can talk the whole time and type in the chat and not let anybody else respond. Sweet.
Can't be through all this craziness that we talk about in our lack of opening up the churches and the ministries around this country. I mean,
open the churches immediately, and especially if anybody there has COVID, because it's not like old people are the vast majority of churchgoers, and any of them will get sick. Okay, so bring in old people into enclosed spaces with poor ventilation and never stop talking. Gotcha. Okay, good. This is good stuff, guys. I can't be the only person taking notes.
One of the ideas that because this event in Tulsa is sold out, why not live stream it into church halls or ministry?
Why only kill the people in the Tulsa gathering when you can kill people across the entire... This is awesome.
And gather all...
Honest to God, Mike Flynn, I don't know if anybody, if I don't know, I'm just picking a name out of the hat. Like if Vladimir Putin could ever have hoped to kill as many Americans as you're proposing to kill right now and never firing a shot. This is friggin' genius.
They're all your parishioners or all your congregation inside of your ministries. And
pack them in there. Really, no spacing. What about synagogues and mosques? No. That's phase 2, I guess.
And
apparently he only wants to suffocate and ventilate Christians. I don't know what that's about. We'll find out.
Live stream it in and then talk about it after. Have a
That's
conversation.
right. Yeah, never stop talking. So while they're talking, you keep talking. This is good. Honest to God, he's winning me over.
With the people right there face to face. That's one way to do it. So open.
Yeah, so do a Zoom, so stream it into churches you're not in all over the country from Tulsa while it's going on, and then go to those churches, get there by the time it's over. That's some serious time folding shit.
So open up the doors, open up the gates. Let's get people back to church. Let's get
Not that, Gaetz.
I like wood.
people back into the faith. Our country and the lessons that I've learned in the last few years, but I've known this all my life.
Yeah, well then how did you learn them if you've known them all your life? Are you just dumb? Oh, you're dumb. I see. I didn't realize. The thing is, because for a second there, I thought, like, if you knew stuff, you didn't have to learn it. But if you're dumb, I see. So basically, this is memento.
Really, it's about our faith. And really,
It is. It's totally about our faith. I mean, I've known that forever, but I just learned it as well.
who we
It's all about our faith. All right.
are as faithful people. Our Constitution, which we should be enormously proud of, was built.
I am. I'm proud of our Constitution, for the record. Yeah. I mean, I know I'm supposed to be some sort of crazy Marxist, lefty, liberalism-y cool dude, but yeah.
Built on faith. It was built on the Bible. Somebody said to me the other day,
No, it wasn't. They were deists. It wasn't built on the Bible. It was built on the Masonic democracies and the Iroquois nation. And sort of the French revolutionary forces, you know, the ideas of the French movement towards democracy as well. It was kind of under the, no, okay, it's just the Bible. Okay.
they started talking about how it goes back to a couple of hundred years prior to the founding of the country, to the Magna Carta. And I said, no, it doesn't. It goes
No, it doesn't. It's going back to the Magna Carta. It goes back to thou shalt not covet your neighbor's ass.
back over 2,000 years ago.
Over? What?
Our Constitution and our country is built on, and we should be fearless about this. It's
Well, thoughtless, I think is what you're shooting for, but
built on the faith. It's built on the faith of who we are as Americans, and that Judeo-Christian principles and values that we should be fearless about is what our country is really all.
what would those be? What Judeo-Christian ones? Because I understand that, by Christ arriving, he kind of erased a lot of the stuff in the Old Testament, and that's the Judeo part. So you kind of sweep some of that aside with the new stuff, like the turn the other cheek thing doesn't really line up with, the old. All right, never mind.
All about. And so as we move forward,
Please move forward. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
one area that is going to be called upon even more
Is Idaho.
are the sort of the faith-based leaders. So
Oh, I see. I thought it was Idaho. That was my map.
one of the things for the pastors, for people who think that
Mike, you're going a little long. Wrap it up.
they're community leaders, and maybe some in the communities
Yeah, so communists. Just say communists.
that are part of these organizations that
Yeah, communist organizations. They sound terrible.
watch your particular show. These people have
That watch his show? That watch Gene's show? See, I remembered. Yeah, that's no one. That's me and my viewers, and then I guess 112,000 Indian citizens who are paid on these watch farms to plow through this crap. But they don't really. Let's not kid ourselves.
We'll have to start thinking about how do they get involved in Civics 101.
Yeah, that's right. How do they? Maybe community college. They have a class. I think at most.
So a pastor who's trying to cheer his community on for whatever ecumenical role that he's playing.
Yeah, like Jim Jones kind of a thing.
Why not step up and run for office? Because
Yeah, run for office. That's what you should do. Dump your church and run for office, because that's a more
we are
meaningful
going to
path.
need more people of faith get involved in politics.
Oh, I mean, better be careful. Or there's going to be a devout Catholic family man in the presidency or something.
The political class in this country, and any politicians that tells me what they've been doing for the last 10 years, and we've been working this hard, and we've been working that hard. Well, obviously they haven't been working hard enough, because it's completely broken.
Well, yeah, because Trump became president and
broken down. So one of my calls, if you will,
will you guys? Probably not. If you won't.
To the religious community is really to get involved, and don't just get involved by preaching.
Yeah, because they're not involved right now.
What you know out of this beautiful book called the Bible, or comparing our Bible or the Bible to how our Constitution was designed and how we should be functioning as a nation, but get involved even more and encourage those community leaders that you know that may be great
communists. He means communists.
Business leaders in the community.
Yeah, corporate communists. I've heard about them lately.
Tell them to step up now.
Yeah, tell them to step up, wusses.
Is the time to.
Yes, this shithead is a criminal. Chat. Yes, that is indeed the case.
Step up, and they need to do it fast. We are.
Yeah, we can't wait. Trump's got to be back in office by August. I mean, tell him. Please go to Mike Lindell next, so he can help straighten out Michael Flynn.
Running out of time.
Yeah.
Any politician, anybody that you.
Yeah, anybody.
Gene, anybody that you hear talk about this person's running in 2024, or that person's running in 2024, all these politicians who think that they're going to run for president in 2024.
You mean like Trump?
Forget about it.
Good. Yes, that's a good idea. No one can beat Biden in 2024. Just forget about it. Anybody who even says they're going to run, except Matt Gaetz.
If they're talking like that, that means that they are not talking about this fraudulent election that we just had. That'll probably.
Yeah, I mean, why would you run in that when obviously they have to overthrow the country first?
Get your show canned off of YouTube for me saying it. We know it was fraudulent. We know.
No, it wasn't. You think it was because your dude lost.
That there was massive foreign interference. We have a number of countries.
Well, yeah, there was some foreign interference, according to the dude that Mike Lindell had on his show, but it was in Texas, and Trump won Texas, so clearly the foreign interference was to help Trump.
But the principal.
Because they saw him as a quicker path to bring down the entire country.
The principal country that interfered in this election was China. And
China
is all over the geographic map of the United States of America, and the Chinese. They know this, and
yeah, there's like a Chinatown in almost every major city. These are just landing points.
They don't like me talking about it because they know I know, and
Yeah, he knows. Yeah, they know he knows, because that's what the Chinese government is afraid of. Mike Flynn on Flashpoint.
I will tell you something.
Yeah, please go on.
Transvestites.
One last thing, and I'll.
Yeah, it's written there. Just look it up.
Q snatch.
Does it have anything to do with that, or?
I like wood.
Ah.
Get off my soapbox.
I thought you were taller than you were. Yeah.
Faith is the foundation of our country. Our faith in God is the foundation of our country. If there was.
Well, no, our faith in the rule of law and our faith in man, as opposed to monarchies, which had always argued that the king was put there by an act of God. So it was actually an affront to the belief in faith in monarchs. But that's, Civics 101.
If there was one thing that my wife and I learned over the last 4 years when we...
It's that if your knuckles are bigger than the end of your finger, that's later.
When we were in the toughest moments, there was one...
The toughest moments. You mean when you were on trial for the crimes you committed?
One entity or one place that we could go to, and that was to internally to our readings and to ourselves, and to really pray to God, because there was some
yeah, nobody else has that.
Dark moments that we faced. And I will tell you, dark moments that were put on me by our own government after
by your own actions.
I served almost 3.5 decades fighting for this country. I mean, just
fighting for this country. I didn't realize you were in Turkey right now. That explains the sunset.
Incredible. It's incredible. And we also, for our families, the families that are out there, our family leaders that are out there, we need to make sure that no one feels like they are alone. There's a lot of people out there that feel like they're alone. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unknown. People are trying to figure out what's happening here. There's a lot of good things going on, I will tell you.
Yeah, they're just trying to figure out. You said he'd win on the 3rd, then he'd win on the 14th, then he'd win on the 6th, then he'd win on the 20th. Then it was going to be April 1st, then it was going to be March 11th, then it was going to be March 21st because it was going to be 3-2-1, and then it's going to be August, and they just don't know. I mean, there's a lot of lonely people who've been following you.
I'll tell you, in Michigan, in Arizona, the audit going on in Arizona, the stuff that you talked about in Georgia. I think that Pennsylvania is another place where people are fighting tooth and nail. New Hampshire is another place. So there's a lot of good things going on.
Totally, they're great.
I know you have some other guests that are going to
Yeah, please move on to
talk
them.
about that. But no one is alone.
Well, that's not true. Lots of people are alone. You're alone on a sunset-laden beach by the waters, lapping behind you. Well, I'm kidding. You're alone in a Zoom call.
Many people in our country, from the founders on, pledged their very lives for this country. And
Right. Yeah.
many of them gave their lives for this country.
Yeah. True.
And I'm sitting here today, and I know many of them over the last, certainly the period of time that I served in the military,
Well, yeah, it's hard to know any of the founding fathers.
many years in combat operations in support of things that are, that we didn't totally understand, honestly. I mean, at
That's reassuring.
the end of the day, we go to where our country sends us, and we've been doing that for 240 years, and there are many men and women who have pledged their lives and who have given.
Whoa. Did you say women? Because I don't know if you heard Tucker's piece the other day. He disagreed.
I like wood.
In their lives for our country. So I'm not about to stop fighting. I'm not
No, you're not. I mean, not for Turkey anyways.
about to stop sacrificing.
And by sacrificing, you mean like, no. Yeah, please. Have the first scoop of caviar. That's
ask the religious community out there is to figure out how you can stop sitting around and talking about it.
Yeah, that's the problem with religious people. They sit around and they talk.
And how you now need to stand and do something about it. So
That's right. What do they need to do?
my charge and my call to action is get involved. So
Yeah, get involved in the 2024 election. Oh, no, that's just bullshit. You're supposed to
Gene,
ask.
thank you very much for allowing me a few moments. I'll stay on as long as you want. Thanks.
Yeah, well, we don't
God
want-
bless you.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's going to be on nonstop for 24 hours. You're not allowed to close the Zoom window now.
Yes, thank you, General Flynn. And
Yes.
thank you for your service, first of all.
Thank you for yapping that long so I could go take a dump and come back.
But thank you for what you're standing for and what you've continued to stand for this nation.
By the way, the pastor that he's talking to, his name is Gene Poole. Gene Splicing, I think is his maiden name.
And as far as our audience, yes, there's a lot of pastors, but you're talking to a huge amount of Christian conservative Americans, as well as about
Huge, really?
40 countries around the world that tune in.
Almost none of which speak English, but they like Gene's hair.
Tuesday and Thursday night. I want to bring in one of those patriots that you talked about.
Yeah.
Right now, a businessman who decided to get involved in a big way. Mike Lindell,
you.
welcome back, Mike. I know you
There he is, looking great, Mike.
got something to say after hearing General Flynn there and what we've talked about in these elections. Tell us what's been going on since.
Tell him what's going on, because most people, unlike me and my viewers, most people haven't seen your new hot piece of shit.
We last saw you.
Right.
Well, first of all, I want to say that I agree with General Flynn.
What?
What?
He agrees with General Flynn.
Wow.
That is incredible.
We got to look at the 2020 election, and we got to get that pulled down. When
Yes, that'll happen. Keep trying.
you said none of these are going to change with Biden, I totally disagree. This is all going to end up at the Supreme Court, and they're going to
They're going to vote 9-0.
vote 9-0 and pull
Oh Lord.
this election down. What's just an update of what's going on?
Yeah, fill us in, because 9-0.
We came out with it's called scientific proof. You
Yeah, I watched it. It wasn't. I was a little let down by the name versus content, I gotta say.
can watch it at lindelltv.com.
Yeah, and nowhere else.
We came out with that yesterday
Yeah, and I can tell you worked really hard on it.
when we were filming Absolute Interference,
which is a way better title than Absolute Proof.
We did a whole nother show, 2-hour show, on brought in different people, and this is about the China interference that General Flynn was talking about.
Yeah, totally. Tell them how you helicoptered people into China, right into Wuhan in the middle of the pandemic, and they Tom Cruised their way down into a room and took a laptop and opened it up and undid the tiny little screws and turned it over and looked at the unit number that's on there, wrote it down next to a list of IP addresses, resealed it, closed it back up, zoop. Tell them about that part.
That attacked our country through these machines and with these algorithms. And but there
algorithms.
was a guy on the show.
Yeah, it did take 5 hours. Well, in defense of it taking 5 hours, it was about 3 hours of that, or 3.5 hours of that, and then I did the Trump interview before that, and it would have taken less time if my system hadn't crashed.
Oh, as we were filming, I kind of did a
apparently, in spite of the fact that big tech is evil and that Apple is destroying everything, Mike Lindell has an iPhone, and the ID for it is ML iPhone. Just in case you need to know it, and you're in an airport in Minnesota and suddenly a hotspot comes up and it says ML iPhone, you know who it belongs to, and that's really important.
I did it like a commercial.
Oh, he got a message.
Where I hadn't talked to him ahead of time. And
you mean you did it like a commercial, like I didn't talk to him ahead of time? Why wouldn't you talk to someone ahead of time when you're doing a commercial? So I understand you have a MyPillow. That's right, Mike. I do have a MyPillow, and it's one of your favorite pillows. Absolutely not. I'm suing you. My neck is I can't even look straight at you. It's terrible. What? All right.
And all of a sudden, he starts telling me about this 2010 census. He's a physicist.
And if anybody knows sociological diagramming, it's a physicist.
His name is Dr. Frank, and
No, it isn't. I'm guessing Frank is his first fucking name, isn't it?
He had got involved in the Pennsylvania fraudulent election there because this congressman named Kathy Barnett, she won the night of the election, and then all of a sudden the next day she lost.
He goes, hey, how's that even possible? And then turned out, yes, she did.
This is impossible. Well,
no, it wasn't impossible because mail-in votes.
They actually went door to door to see who people had voted and if they had voted, and they validated his algorithms that they had used the 2010 census to set the footprint in these machines. Well, I was blown away.
Except where they didn't. Ugh.
By this, so I released.
It's Dr. Frank. Isn't his network his social media platforms are going to be called Frank? That's weird.
A 1 hour show with just him and I in that. So it can. I mean,
it was riveting.
Watch this, and you can.
By riveting, I mean it was kind of like someone driving rivets into your ear.
You will absolutely will not believe it. It's just like.
That's true. That is the most true thing he said. I cannot disagree. You will absolutely not believe it.
Are you kidding me? This is...
Yeah, you'll go, are you kidding me? You sound like a moron. This is ridiculous.
100% evidence of what went on during this election through these...
No, it isn't.
Machines.
It's a postulate that doesn't even reach the level of being a theorem.
They could not be done by humans, what happened there.
Well, of course not. Aliens, definitely behind it. Pizza eating pedivore aliens.
It had to be done by a massive computer. And anyway, this Dr. Frank.
Anyway, supercomputer.
I said, well, boy, did this happen in Ohio? He's actually from Ohio. He said, boy, did it happen. He went through all 80 some counties, and every county had the exact same footprint. And what I mean by that is
he took his math and what happened and then reverse engineered an equation, and then he sold Mike Lindell on that idea, and Mike Lindell paid him $120,000 or some shit to be on his show.
If you watch this, documentary,
I don't know that he paid him. I'm just assuming, like, if you were that guy, you would basically bilk this dickhead, and so
every county. What it is the census of the 2010 census. So what they went by that when they set these registered voters.
And it's weird, and the Chinese somehow didn't know that there was a prison in one of the cities, And when they did the math, it still worked, even though they didn't. That's so weird.
What that means is like a 20-year-old in this county, that percentage of 20-year-olds.
Oh, man. Somebody's saying, did you hear Tucker was so pissed because Matt Gaetz brought up that he was at dinner with Tucker's wife and it wasn't Tucker's wife? Owie.
It's the same percentage of 20-year-olds voted in every county throughout the state. Same way with 50.
Compared to the number of registered, sociology.
Year-olds or 45-year-olds. The exact same percentage.
No, it wasn't. No, he had to change the algorithm for every state, and it was still drifting all over the place. Within the margin of error, by the way, with a 2 to 3 point waiver.
So it's that you could fit it like a glove, and you're going to say, wow, this percentage is going to vote in every county.
No, that wasn't how it worked out.
It's impossible.
That's because you don't understand math, and you were just like, wow. And then
we
went through this bullshit.
And you plug that in with what we did in absolute proof, the cyber attack, which we already have now, all the IP addresses.
No, you don't.
We have the IDs of the
No, you don't.
computers. We have everything to put this. It fits like a glove.
Totally does. Ew.
And then we added to this documentary, we added whistleblowers. You're not going to see their faces.
Right. No, but you got to trust us. They're whistleblowers.
Because what I want to do is for the next 5 to 6 weeks, just like you did at the start of your show, let educate the people in all this stuff that happened in this cyber attack.
That's
and
right.
just dump the evidence out and
dump
everywhere.
Big dumps.
So my audience is a Democrat. I have a lot of Democrat friends that
What?
And they're going, wow, what's going on? This is not the Democrat Party. And I said, no, it's not. It's communism and socialism that have come into this country.
Oh, terrible.
And they're very worried. I think, what I tell people is, God's got his hand in all this. And right now, during this amazing time we're in,
he's got his hand in all of this, but everything is going to shit and your guy lost and the worst people ever are in charge. But that's part of the plan.
Everyone's getting a chance to see that socialism and communism isn't having a cup of coffee and being social with your friends.
No, that's not what socialism means. I thought that's socializing. It's a very, it's kind of like, some people think that if you're a community leader, that's not communism, but it is. That's what I just learned from, Mike Flynn. But I've known it my whole life, but I also just learned it.
It's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing.
Terrible.
And this manifested because of the biggest cyber attack in history, this biggest crime against the United States and humanity. And
yeah, of course. That's what the Chinese are just really, they're really about attacking their own people. That's why they attacked us.
And I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, you should both be worried. And this is going to be, when this manifests out, though, I believe it's going to be a great uniting of our country.
Yeah, I have to say, there was something, I saw it in the news. I got to look it up real quick. Hold on one second. It was really awful news. It was super, obviously some sort of commie thing going on. I got to look it up. 1 second. Yeah, it was terrible. Yeah, there it is. Look at this. Just obvious communism. You know what I mean? You can tell. It's sort of socialism. And then it's going to, they're putting, obviously these bins are for putting conservatives into. U.S. added 916,000 jobs in March as hiring accelerated. Unemployment rate fell to 6%. Jobs growth appears to take off. Yeah, I can understand why Democrats and Republicans are horrified at the possibility. You know what I mean? How do you even live with this shit? Oh, God, not him.
And it'll be, once again, we'll be one nation under God, and we're going to look back and say, wow, all this had...
We're going to look back and say...
Wow. 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 What? Wow.
...to happen to get us to this great spot in the future. And I believe we're in the greatest revival in history. People don't look for hope and don't look for Jesus unless something's going wrong or they're, and that...
Why not? Jesus isn't a light switch, dickhead. Why would you need to be... and these are the only people who... These are people... that's projection. He's basically saying he doesn't pray unless the shit hits the fan.
That hope, everybody's looking for hope right now.
That's right, Hope Hicks. I don't know if she still works for the campaign or what she's doing now.
That's right.
But I want
Dancing with the Stars?
to say one more thing. I am going to announce too, I'm coming out my social media platform that's called
Frank.
It's Indestructible. It's going to handle up to 1 billion people.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Listen to that. It's going to be indestructible. I smell a challenge.
And it's
Crank, yeah.
going to be like a YouTube. You're going to have a safe place to go on there where you can speak out and you don't have to worry about being canceled.
You don't have to
So
worry
when
about
we
it.
It's
that?
very exciting right now.
When we're going to see that online?
The week of the 12th, I hope I have it up and running by Tulsa, because that'd be a great place for people can.
Yeah, get everybody signed up. I'll be there. I'll have an account.
Everybody can
That'd
speak
be
out.
great.
They don't have to worry about this. People.
They don't have to worry about it. They can come on and talk about, the Earth is flat, and come on and say the moon landing was fake, and they can, tell people who needs a measles vaccine and that polio is just God's way of cutting down on the number of joggers, and they can come on there and everybody, a Stormfront's going to have their own site on there. It's going to be beautiful.
Platform being taken down. But it's going to be amazing, and it's going to give us our voice back.
Yeah, and by our voice, he means, I guess, snuff film producers?
Another thing, too, I want to announce.
Stank. Don't get an account, Andy? I shouldn't?
When you talk about fighting back, next week, My Pillow, who got sued by Dominion.
My Pillow didn't get sued by Dominion. You did.
Is going to come out. Obviously, we're going to ask for dismissal for their frivolous lawsuit.
Obviously.
But what we are going to do is
you're not going to get one, but you're obviously going to ask.
We're going to sue them. And Alan Dershowitz is even involved, where he's got hired with my lawyers.
And what do you have to pay him in? Massages?
As an advisor, because he said this will be the biggest lawsuit, the most important in history.
And he said that while you were writing the biggest legal check you've ever written?
For the First Amendment for free speech. He said this has never happened since 1800, where you have used a company has used leverage to say, I'm going to sue you if you talk about or say the word Smartmatic or Dominion.
No one said that. Like, how fucking dumb are you? Watch. Dominion, Smartmatic. See, I said both words. I'm not getting sued. It's what you're saying about them. It's slander and libel. And because of your access to the president, and because of you hanging out with people like Mike Flynn and Sidney Powell and shit like that, it gives the illusion that you know what you're talking about. And because you're spending a lot of money to get that message out there, it's more than if some just rando asshole someplace does it.
Or any of these things. And so there's a lot of great things.
Yeah, just any stuff.
Is coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And we thank you, Mike, for all your efforts there and all that you've done for this nation. You're a true patriot, and we applaud you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for the pillows.
Let me just clarify what I said in my monologue. What I meant was, by natural means, you're just not going to go to get him out of office. There has to be something supernatural. Now, you said something that...
Yes, the ghost of Grover Cleveland is going to scare Biden out of the White House. That's what I think is going to happen.
Caught my attention. You said we're going to see the Supreme Court go 9-0. Now, I will agree with you on that, because I'm going to believe that you know something that I don't know.
Why in the fuck would you believe that? Seriously, about any human being, but much less Mike Lindell? Why? And that's conjecture on his point. It is obviously an inflated, hyperbolic, exasperated flailing of the, and that I guess is based largely on the limits of his vocabulary. He has no inside knowledge that Sonia Sotomayor is going to go, oh my God.
Because
or I'm sorry, she wouldn't say, oh my God. She would go,
wow. What?
Yeah.
In the natural, I don't see how in the world that can happen. In fact, let me get Lance Walnuts to weigh in on this.
Yeah, Lanny Walnuts. Bring in Lanny Walnuts.
With the Supreme Court. What do you think?
This is Lanny Walnuts, in case you guys
Lance,
know.
you've heard the general, you've heard Mike Lindell.
Let me guess, you're going to agree but disagree. He's the one who, by the way, went into hiding after all the prophecies shit the bed. Sorry, were you finished with your sandwich, Lanny Walnuts? I was just having a walnut sandwich.
Honestly, I think if you ask
I'm sorry, I was snacking.
the general, do you think that the Department of Justice and the intelligence community
The intelligent community? It's a community of people who are very smart.
was legitimately concerned about something that he was doing that was illegal that needed to be dealt with? Or were they not trying to set him up and put him away? The thing that's frightening about our history is, and Christians watch this in the general...
Yeah, I'm sure they do. Real Christians, not those bullshit Christians that like Jesus.
Knows that so many of us who he doesn't even know were praying for him because we saw that he was
By the way, Lanny Walnuts' book is up on behind him, and it's God's Chaos Code. So this was his book that, like, all of Trump's fuck-ups are actually indicative of God's greater plan. God sometimes throws a monkey wrench into the system.
targeted. And it's a scary thing when the sacred institutions that you trust to protect you are weaponized against. If they would do that to General Flynn, what will they do to an annoying little preacher with a Facebook feed?
Ouch. Gene, Hank, he's talking about you.
So here's my problem.
Even Flynn's like,
I believe Mike
Flynn has a really bad case of Tucker face.
Lindell. I want to believe Mike Lindell. I want to see Mike Lindell get the facts out there. But I think that they already know facts. I think that when this is exposed,
that people are going to realize that that is the most egregious toupee I have seen since John Saxon in Enter the Dragon.
You're going to see that a lot of people don't want the truth. They don't want to hear the truth. They want any pretense.
You can't handle the truth.
I think that they know the science on COVID is...
You want me on Lanny Walnuts. You need me on Lanny Walnuts.
...specious. They know that the social distancing is based on a rule from 1868. It's not even practical. They know that the mask...
Yeah. You can't practice. There's too many fucking people in the world to do... Too many people to do social distancing.
Don't do anything. They want to use them anyway because their goal is to control you. Their goal is totalitarian.
They want to wrap you up in silks and spank your little backside. You spank.
I go back to what Rush Limbaugh said in one of his...
Well, that's good. Yeah. Oh, that all drug dealers need to go to jail for their entire life, or anybody who's an addict deserves whatever's coming to them, or Barack the Magic Negro. You're just going to sing the song?
His rants while he was yet in
alive,
his prime. And
okay, yeah, his later ones, his later rants just sucked.
It bothered me when he said it because as a Christian, I'm all about reconciliation. I'm all about...
Yeah, I could tell.
About kind of bipartisanness, and you hear pastors all the time talking about, I'm neither a Democrat nor a Republican. At some point in time...
Do they make a little kid voice? I'm neither... Do they all have to sound like a Lollipop Guild member when they say it, or like Ben Shapiro? What's the difference?
You might have to choose whether you're in the...
Lanny Walnuts needs eyebrows. Lanny Walnuts has Matt Gaetz's eyebrows. Just straight up.
North or in the South in the Civil War, whether you're pro-Nazi or not pro-Nazi in Germany.
Yeah, that was basically the two sides.
And when you have evil and good in a
Lance D's nuts.
Just like we've got, you have to be able to recognize we don't win because the truth suddenly comes out.
Yeah. What kind of bullshit? What?
Because if someone wants to suppress the truth and unrighteousness, they're going to. If somebody wants to
yeah, I mean, what resolve does God have to do anything about this?
Resist the truth in their heart. They will reject the truth that's in the evidence.
Yeah. You mean like Flynn and Lindell are doing, or?
That's the wickedness of the human condition. These people have to be exposed. So that enough Americans can become informed and mobilized and outraged to recognize the existential threat that this party now represents, this Marxist, socialist, communist, totalitarian takeover.
That's a lot of labels. They seem pretty unified to have four different distinct Because communists and socialists and Marxists, there's some variance in there. You know what I mean? It's like evangelicals and Lutherans and Methodists.
Has to be seen, not as something we can reconcile.
Yeah, faith. Who does faith?
Oh, if we just give them enough truth and enough prayer, we have to
yeah, he forgot to put vegan in there.
remove them from office. We have to vote them out of office. We have to move into office.
That's right. Yeah, just camp out.
And I think that this is going, and I agree with General Flynn that we have to do this
Wait, you agree with General Flynn?
What?
expeditiously. What Michael Lindell may be giving us is the gift of an argument to wake up
Yeah, that's what
the church to the fact that it has allowed itself. I'm talking about Christians, Gene, that
Yeah. Nobody else goes to church.
I debate constantly who believe the election was won by Biden.
Yeah,
Oh my God, what?
What?
absolutely. In fact, let me
Christians believe reality? When did that shit
bring
start?
in a pastor right now, Pastor Hank Kuhneman.
Yeah, bring in Hank. Hank, tell us how there's gonna be earthquakes, and that's proven that Trump, shit the bed at Mar-a-Lago.
Pastor Hank, you're the only full-time pastor on this on this program tonight.
Yeah, it's because he has no other skills. That's because Lanny Walnuts has to work as a part-time mechanic.
Speaking, General Flynn was
Lindell's obviously selling mysnuffilm.com.
speaking to you and all pastors like
He seems lovely.
you, and as what Lance was saying, you somewhere along the line, people are going to have to pick. Are you left or are you right? Are you
Yeah, you're going to have to do that because Jesus said,
where your stand is? Is that what you're seeing from the circles that you run in?
the circles that you run in. Yeah, because he's got a broad breadth of people he interacts with on a daily basis. He's not completely surrounded by psycho-Christian suck-ups.
Sure. I think the most important thing right now is the enemy fears. Listen, Pastor.
Yeah, they're fair. As the enemy, and he means me, of course. As the enemy, few things put more fear in me than a local pastor in Omaha, Nebraska, whose church is in a strip mall. That's one of 5 panels on Flashpoint.
Pastor.
2 nights a week.
Listen, leaders. The enemy fears the assembling or the gathering of the church. He understands what took place on the day
Yeah, because apparently the devil hates being outnumbered, apparently.
of Pentecost in Acts.
One person with faith, what have you got? I mean, honestly, you need 16 and they got to have AR-15.
Chapter 2, where they assembled. Power began to fall by the power and the person of the Holy Spirit.
Sure.
And so this is not the time to be shut away. It's not the
No, that's Wednesdays and Fridays.
time to coward. It's the time to assemble. We had to
Whoa. Who's going to be on there? What? Hold on.
What?
Who? Look at this. Who? When is she going to be on here?
in Omaha, Nebraska, when they told us that
we had
to a time to be shut away. It's not the time to coward. It's the
Tuesday, April 6th.
Time to assemble.
April 4th. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know why that said, yeah. So Tuesday, 6th. Yeah, Tuesday, April 6th. It's very tiny writing, and it's behind this other Tuesday, Lauren Boebert is going to be on Flashpoint. Friggin' yikes.
Assemble. We had to in Omaha, Nebraska, when they told us that, we had to shut down. We complied for a little while, and then.
But then we were like, you know what? We want. He's not interested in sleeping with the old people at his church, and the young ones are pretty much immune. So.
And we started saying, wait a minute, why is the secular businesses being able to carry on, so to speak, without the restrictions that they're putting on us, the pastors and churches?
Because they were. Because they had only takeout, and you couldn't gather more than a certain number of people together. Whereas a church, if it had 100 people in it, that was part of the problem. You couldn't limit a church service unless you. And again, we talked about this all last year. Why the fuck didn't these assholes offer to do 4 or 5 church services a day on Sunday so that smaller groups could come and still participate in church on the Lord's Day? Why didn't you do that? No, you have to have one big sermon. You can't do a show like his 5 times in a day. It's exhausting.
And so we just began to defy that respectfully, and we opened our churches up over a year ago. We've had very few cases of
Very few.
what they call a pandemic, which really has become a scandemic. But Gene, I
A scandemic. You mean a scamdemic? I know it's hard to say, but it's your made-up word.
want to address this because
Yeah, put that behind you.
there's a lot of dialogue going. And as you know, I stand in a place where I speak prophetically for God.
Well, for money.
And there is something that I need to say to those that are watching tonight.
Uh-oh. I'm nervous. What's he gonna say?
That I feel like I represent the heart of God.
Yeah, that's a scary fucking thought. You don't represent the heart of God. What the ever-loving fuck?
My eyes, these eyes right here,
Are crying. These eyes have seen a lot of love, but we're never gonna have another woman in to have with you.
you can call me false. You can.
You're false. I'm calling you false. You're a fraud. You're full of shit. You're a liar and a grifter and a con man and a bullshitter. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. But you asked for it. You want, yeah.
Say what you want, but
Good. Okay. You're a liar and a grifter and full of shit and a scam artist and you're endangering the lives of the people that But I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're heart of God, right?
these eyes
I'm trying. These eyes have seen a lot of love, but I'm in love with you.
have seen
I don't know the lyrics.
the coming of the glory of the Lord upon
Oh, and you got it right in the eye. No wonder they're bloodshot.
the earth and upon this nation. These eyes have
I'm crying. These eyes have seen a lot of love.
seen the future. God has allowed me to see it. And
Yeah, not this future, and I've got Earth 2 future.
And there was one point where I didn't see the clown show and the different things that are going on right now.
Yeah, he was like looking out of the heart of God through one of the ventricles with just one eye. And oh, hi, thank you. You all right? She stormed in. Yeah, that's your DMV thing is right there. There you go. See, I'm taking care of. That's all my script pages. They can go in the binder if you can put them in there. It's upstairs, is it? Or did I bring? Yeah. If you want to carry those up there, put them up in there later. That'd be nice. You don't have to, if you want to. Well, then don't leave them. I'll do it.
This is all of it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's 112 pages. It's bloody well Shakespeare, isn't it? I've got a script to do. Thanks. Thank you. Love you. I had to print out my the script for 12th night in the format that they sent it to me, and I got to put it in a binder and start making my notes in it because we started rehearsals today. Yeah. Hal's being naughty, and that's why I'm here. A little.
Right now, God showed me a new America.
All right, cool. Is it on an oil rig? Can you move there as quick as possible? Can you leave this one behind? And this will be, we'll just call this America, and you can start New America. Kind of like New England, but America.
He showed me a put it back movement that there
Put it back movement. And the Lord spoke unto me from the mountain, said, Where does that go? No, if you use my hammer, you put it back on the... No, there's a hook on the wall for a goddamn reason. See the little dust outline? That's because that's where it goes. And the Lord did speak upon them and say, put it back, put it back, put it back, put it back. Oh, fucking hell. The put it back movement. Get the fuck out of here.
that there would be things that they would try to do, but
And there would be a great confusion as to where things really are. A friend would lose his friend's hammer, and children would not know wherein lie the thing of their fathers that he'd only put there the night before, just around 8 o'clock, that has sort of a rapier work attachment and a handle.
ultimately God would reign with his power in his hand, and there would be a remnant people that would...
Remnant people. Just leftovers? There's the left. You know the Left Behind novels. He's writing the leftover. These are people wrapped in tinfoil.
push this to a forefront where God would have his way.
Yeah, he can't do it unless you shove it forward. You know, it's kind of like God's like a hockey forward.
God would supernaturally intervene. Yeah.
Well, of course, he doesn't naturally intervene. Well, I guess he is, because if God exists, he's in all nature, and therefore all nature is of God. This is getting way too philosophical, Hank.
Yes, we can look at things in the natural. We need to look at things in the natural.
Yeah, like your natural hair color, your natural eyebrow color, your natural gift for painting. That's fantastic. That's the San Francisco skyline, in case you were wondering, as seen by someone who was just hit in the face with a shovel full of gravel. I call it San Francisco skyline, shovel full of gravel in the face.
Natural, but we must not ever discount the supernatural power of God. And I want
No, not at all. I mean,
to just say my
kind of a package deal.
closing remarks on this. We are
Yeah, wrap it up. You're getting a little Flynny. All right.
experiencing right now Passover. Over 4,000 years ago, there was a nation. It didn't look possible. Exodus 14:5 says that Pharaoh's heart was against the people. We're seeing this government right now, this administration against the people of God.
Yeah, that was a pharaoh. That was a monarch. It's a theocracy. It was, and the people that you're talking about were slaves. They were Jews, and they were Israelites and Hittites and other groups from other nations that they'd captured. It wasn't a government. I'm just going to need some sort of, like, I guess, Greek or, some sort of Athens reference would help.
The nation that is under God. But you know what happened? God.
What happened? What happened? I missed it.
God set them up for a trap.
Uh-oh. It's a trap. God is Admiral Akbar. It's a trap.
The Egyptians. And they went into the Red Sea. And it looked.
They went into it? Or did they the Jews were escaping and they chased them in and then... I mean, it's been a while since I've read it, but you're the boss. What is it?
All hope was lost for a nation who was trusting God. And even at one point, that nation that was trusting God got into fear.
You mean after they made it through the Red Sea and they made a golden calf and it was like, fuck, you guys, what'd I tell you?
Began to say, watch this, let us go back to Egypt. For wasn't it better when we went back to Egypt? In other words, listen to...
Like, yeah, there's no food out here. This sucks. You had a terrible plan. We crossed the sea and now it closed behind us and none of us know how to fish. If only there was a Messiah that could make us fishers of men.
Christian, pastor, patriot. If you love God and love the United States, don't be like what Israel almost got into their own...
No, don't be like that. Look, they're giving him the whole...
crap. And that was this.
Mike Lindell is nodding off.
They were willing to give up their freedoms. This is about a fraudulent election.
Terrible.
We cannot have a successful election.
Yeah, just like when the Pharaoh was elected.
Going forward until we deal with November 3rd because...
Yeah, because you prophesied that he was going to win and he hasn't, and now everyone is... your Venmos have dried up. Unlike people who are always right. I'm just saying, I was always right, and I'm going to try my best to stay that way.
Because of what took place, don't lose your freedom. But I want to say this: the waters, the Bible said, began to open, and at the same time, there was a nation and there was a pursuing army. It looks right now like the enemy is trying to overtake this nation.
No, it looks like to use your analogy, it would look like the army was already crossing the Red Sea, and it was the Jewish slaves that apparently were on the other side. Like, where the fuck are you guys going? And then the sea closed on the Jewish people, and then they're like, don't worry, God will teach us to swim. And they're like, when?
Trying to overtake the church. He's not going to succeed. Remember,
No.
God intervened 4,000 years ago. He's going to intervene again. That's why he's raising up people like
Yeah, any day now.
General Flynn.
Yeah, he's totally raising up General Flynn. He's risen to the level of being on Flashpoint on a Tuesday.
Mike Lindell, others.
Sorry, it was Thursday. This was for Thursday.
Because there is going to come a knocking.
Well,
I like wood.
Q snatch.
Off of their chariot wheels. Justice will prevail. God
Okay.
will have his way. And notice my last statement. The Bible
yeah, dude.
says in Exodus 14 that the waters returned. And you know what? It
What?
dealt with the injustice that was taking place, but the water's returning, meaning this. I believe in all my heart, it's what I
Okay.
saw. God
Yeah.
has showed me that things will return as they're supposed to be.
And the Lord said, put it back. Excuse me, I'm allergic to bullshit. I don't know why I got that tickle all of a sudden. Clearly a demon passed right through me. Oh my God.
But it will be better.
Yeah. It won't be like during the Trump administration.
Amen. And that doesn't
Amen.
give us
Yeah, meanwhile, Mike Flynn is over there playing Words with Friends.
permission
Lanny Walnuts is just like, this sucks. Yeah.
to just sit back and wait and watch.
You can't do that. You got to go, I guess, scare people.
That's
and
correct.
we've got to stay
That's
involved. All right, I want to go to the border. Well, before we get to the border, I want.
Yeah, you're bordering on boring me. I can't do all that. I got other stuff. I need to know what Grant Stankfield says. This is, by the way, Grant Stinchfield on Newsmax. He's one of the people who, very few people will tell us the honest, the horde's honest truth about Joe Biden's plan to own you. Okay, he's gonna own you, guys. He's gonna own you. He owns you. It's like slavery. Except, remember when slavery, they gave people loans? It's like that. Thank you, Patty. Bring me your Moses now, see? Where's your Moses now? Edward G. Robinson in the Ten Commandments. Yeah.
I want to talk about.
Oh, I don't want to talk about it. I want to know what Grant Stankfield has to say about this. He looks lovely and doesn't look at all like he's like, son, you look like you've been smoking the pot.
And his handlers are out.
Okay, sorry. I've got to back this up because clearly there was a start in.
Joe Biden and his handlers are out to dismantle America.
Okay, good. All right, so it's the segment's called Dismantling America. Biden's big government plans changing America. To change America? Big government plans to change? I guess it is changing. We're in the middle of the change. The changing has occurred.
He wants to break us down so he
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
can rebuild America into, you ready for this? A
Yes.
communist nation.
What? A communist nation with a public option you can buy into? Why would the government give you money and then have you give it back to the government for that? That sounds like a company store okay, but please tell me more, Stankfield.
In order to do that,
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of work, probably. I mean, you have to put up big posters of his face everywhere and giant billboards with just his eyes that play during rallies. Wait, that's not Biden. I'm thinking of somebody else.
they need to fundamentally change the makeup of America.
Oh, so this is going to take a lot of work, probably a lot of time. Remember, like re-education camps. We're going to have to institute communism. Does everybody get a little red book?
They need the majority of people on board with an all-powerful government in full control of everything.
Yeah, that's going to be difficult to do. I mean, first they'll have to try it. Stankfield.
What better way to do that than open up our borders and
Well, I mean, unless you're only opening the borders to people who are communists. I mean, arguably, I know the borders aren't open, but if I'm following you, and who wouldn't, the border is all people, in some cases, who are escaping Venezuela, among other countries, where it seems they're trying to get away from socialist stuff.
promise free stuff, health care, welfare, and of course,
Well, it's not free. It's paid by taxpayers. We all kind of kick in, and then we create a baseline. And if you want more, you pay for it out of your own pocket because that's the create a baseline for all Americans because it's a country and we're all Americans and we're all, there's been inequities and we sort of straighten those out a little bit and then everybody gets a shot. And if you truly succeed, everybody has a baseline. You never fall below it. Like Social Security.
amnesty. The left
Amnesty.
now wants America overwhelmed with migrants dependent on the government. The more
I thought we wanted them in because they were going to do all the jobs that other people don't want to do for cheap.
people here that support massive government programs, the more people dependent on those programs. The
Right. It's just, and of course they're going to have to be in Spanish or Portuguese.
easier it is to grow government and, of course, its power over the people. That's what they seek here. All of this goes hand in hand.
Yeah, you could tell where he's doing this kind of stuff. He's totally, that was a Jedi mind trick that Biden just did. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the deal. These aren't the droids you're looking for.
And with Joe Biden's latest $2.5 trillion, quote, infrastructure bill.
Quote infrastructure. Quote infrastructure, evermore.
Yes, the open borders.
Hello, Australia. How are you? Good to see you. Hello, Carrie.
Along with these massive spending bills are...
Why are you gesturing just like Biden? If we're supposed to be afraid of him, why are you making your hands move just like he is? Folks, said it before, not a joke.
Are the 1-2 punch aimed at knocking America out.
That's right. This is a fight, folks, and your eye is black. You're up against your rope-a-doping conservatives.
We have deferred for too long. It's time to take action, and our grandkids are going to be grateful if we do it.
What? That's not possible. Grandkids, they're going to hate freeways and internet.
No, I don't think so. That's
yeah, you tell them.
Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo.
Oh my God, Raimondo? That sounds bad.
And our grandkids.
Did she just come across the border? Is she one of these, like, unaccompanied minors? Has she already taken an American's job? This sucks.
Kids will not be grateful. They'll be bankrupt, okay? And if
Why? Well, if they don't run their businesses well, I don't know. I mean, how can you be bankrupt if you're in a communist country? Bing! Bingo!
$2.5 trillion isn't.
Honest to God, how do you bankrupt? There's no bankruptcy in communist society. If you're going to wholly rewrite the communist, by the time your grandkids grow up, they'll be growing up in communism. There's no loans in, I don't even,
isn't enough to break the bank. Hey, why not make it 10 trillion?
That 2.2 trillion, 2.25 over 8 years, I have serious concerns. And in order for us to realize this inspiring vision, we need to go way higher. If we could wave a magic wand and the progressives in the House were able to name any number and get it through, we're talking about realistically $10 trillion over 10 years.
$10 trillion, she says. Magic wand. Why not make it 20 or $30 trillion? Come on, AOC, over 10 years.
Yeah, if you could wave a magic wand. Obviously, you can't wave a magic wand, you know.
Here's 10 trillion. The federal government only takes in about 3.5 trillion a year.
Only? So the federal government takes in $3.5 trillion a year. And if you put $1 trillion of that towards infrastructure, you still have a $2.5 trillion budget overall. You lay off a bunch more of it onto the states, and then over the next 10 years, you spend $1 trillion of that specifically on infrastructure. I see. Sounds horrifying.
So, of course, the Democrats' answer to all this is raise taxes on, of course, the wealthy.
Well, no. I mean, you're skipping to the point where she said 10, but Biden still is at around 2. And the raising of taxes is midway. It's still lower than it was 5 years ago.
And on businesses. But here's the problem with that.
What's the problem? Keystone Pipeline's gone.
The plan that they're offering up here
What's the plan?
calls for the creation of tens of thousands of union jobs.
Right. Yeah. And obviously, once the Keystone Pipeline is built, those jobs are over.
Sounds good until you realize those jobs are to work on government projects.
Well, private industry doing those things, and they'll take 10 years over time. And obviously there'll be maintenance and other stuff, and there'll be flow through the industry like energy. That's not going to go away. Converting ourselves to a smart grid isn't going to be, all right.
What happens?
And by the way, just in case you're wondering, they've done the math on this.
When the government projects are finished?
Yeah, what happens if we have plenty of, oh my God, those are the tiniest nuclear facilities I've ever seen. They're adorable. Either that or they're being attacked by Glenzilla. Glenn, stay away from the nukes. That's not a trash can. That's not a trash can.
The people keep their jobs is if government spends more money on more government projects. That sounds great too, except what AOC and
well, the idea too is that you build more roads and more transportation, more private industry has the ability to work. You know, if you have Amtrak going other places and better internet across the entire country, you start more businesses, and those people, they're working on those primary things, and then they can start their own businesses, or they could actually add to, you know, they're going to work in and around the infrastructure that's created, because new towns will spring up because you've got an Amtrak line, or the roads have improved, or never mind. I mean, let's just be honest. The interstate freeway system was a mistake. Stankfield is right.
And Joe Biden's handlers envision is impossible to sustain. Now, I believe, and I'm sure you're with me on this.
Yeah, I'm sure I am.
The government only needs to ensure the opportunity for private enterprise to create wealth in America exists. The opportunity.
Just guys, there can be a road here. Just saying. Who wants to build a road? Get at it.
Incentivize entrepreneurship. That's what government should be doing.
Yeah.
Instead, this plan they're offering up turns everyone out there into a worker bee. No more entrepreneurs.
No more entrepreneurs. Yeah. If you come up with an idea for, you know, products that you could sell in train stations that are new to your area, or if you, say, have a delivery company, or you drive a truck for a living and you start your own group of trucks or that kind of stuff, that's not going to be allowed. I mean, we're going to build these nice roads. Nobody's allowed on them. It's part of the put that back plan that Jesus is putting forward.
Worker bees were the
worker bees.
Only entity that actually creates jobs is, of course, the federal government.
This is like saying we're going to create a body that's all veins, no heart, no brain. We're going to outlaw brains, hearts, and organs. This is all 100% veins.
That sounds an awful lot like communism. And
no, it doesn't. Even communism supposedly creates and generates things.
In order for it to work, the communists in charge now need more worker bees.
No more. I see. So that's why we need 8-year-old Mexican kids
who don't need a lot to live on. By the
no, you need impoverished Mexican worker bees to build roads that no one's allowed to use or build a business around.
The way, hence the call for mass migration to.
That's what it is. I see.
America. Just look at what is in this infrastructure bill.
Thanks, Roger, and thank you, Foggy. And thank you, Patty and Bronwyn Fox. Bless you for the super chats, by the way. Francie, thank you so much. And Raphael, he said, nothing like getting advice from Lance D's nuts.
Most of it has nothing to do with infrastructure.
No. Psh, look at this. It's just money in the air. Like, I mean, basically, Biden's just making it rain. He's like Matt Gaetz on Apple Pay. $400 billion to care for the elderly or disabled? What kind of commie bullshit is this?
They've got $400 billion in it to care for the elderly and disabled. $300 billion to revitalize manufacturing.
Gross. Revitalize manufacturing? I thought they were just going to set up government manufacturing sites that employ Mexican and Guatemalan toddlers. What do you mean revitalize? That sounds a lot like loan guarantees.
Be sure this will come in the form of loans that will, of course, make businesses beholden to government for years.
Well, they don't have to take the loan.
To come.
But, I mean, they're loan guaranteed by the government. In case you fail, you get, it's a safety. All right.
$213 billion for affordable housing, they say.
Oh, my God. What kind of, like, obviously blocks of giant Russian flats everywhere.
Here's what happens.
What happens?
The landlord for all those new worker bees will now be the federal government.
Well, no, they won't. I mean, because the money for affordable housing is actually for real estate developers to borrow to build, and then they will make money, and then they pay the loans back, and they own the property and own the buildings themselves over time as they pay them off, just like when you have a mortgage on a house.
$10 billion for the enforcement, and that's the key word here.
Uh-oh.
that employers are providing workers with fair and equal pay.
Oh my God, what kind of, listen to this commie shit.
Enforcement to make sure workplaces are free from racial and gender discrimination. That's a direct quote.
Which sounds awful.
Meaning the government will now dictate to you
whether or not you can mock women and minorities in the workplace and pay them less because they're brown or female or both.
How you run your business.
Yeah, if you want to run your business, I mean, now Stormfront's going to have a $15 minimum wage.
And if you don't comply,
you what?
It's their favorite word, by the way.
Is it? Is it their favorite word? I don't know that comply is my, because it sounds too much like two-ply, like toilet paper. I wouldn't say comply. I think demand is much better. You know, because it's got man in it.
You will be punished, of course.
Of course. Naughty, dirty. You'll get it.
A key aspect or core value of this anti-freedom, anti-American bill is punishment.
Well, no, I mean, equal protection under the law is primary to the Constitution. It would be, it's fundamentally American to guarantee that and make sure that people aren't discriminating based on, you know, immutable characteristics. That's the American thing.
This is a values-based package, and we are not going to compromise on core values. And meeting the challenges of climate change is a core value. Equity is a core value.
Yes, equity. Not equality, equity. That's been a hard thing for them to latch onto, because equality, they've been using this equality of outcome kind of thing, that it's communism, that everybody has to be guaranteed they're going to be successful by the government. Whereas equity is making sure everybody gets to the starting line equally, you know, without anybody being held back because of discrimination or, you know, lack of schooling or funds that, you know, in a public school that another school district has that they don't, those kind of things. That if everybody has that, then we have equity. It's up to you to be successful. Equality, they want to talk about this kind of as, that's their buzzword that they've been borrowing for communism and socialism. He'll try, don't worry.
All right, so she's talking about people being equal. But they aren't.
No, they're not. We're not all as good as Stankfield.
And they never will be.
No, they won't. And try as hard as we will, none of us will ever be Grant Stankfield.
Some people are smarter, some people are stronger, some people are more efficient.
And some people are Grant Stankfield.
Those people deserve more when they do.
Thanks. Thanks for noticing. I feel seen.
Better things. That is at the heart of American success. It's not a bad...
Right. Yeah. And, you know, and the other heart of American success, of course, the lower ventricle, is stiff-arming poor people to make sure they never get an equal footing. Because, I mean, how am I supposed to succeed if I have to compete with them on an equal playing field? That's horrifying.
Not a bad thing. But when you flood our society with unskilled labor and
Yeah, if you flood, this is a genuine, I understand why Grant Stankfield is very upset about this. Because if you flood America with completely unskilled, incompetent workers, he's going to lose his job to one of them. I mean, if I was him, I'd be nervous too. Somebody goes, yo, there's a lot of unskilled workers coming across the board. Jesus Christ, there goes my employment security.
Uneducated workforce, guess what happens?
You have Newsmax in Spanish.
Treating everyone the same becomes so much easier.
Does it? Is it easier to... Wait, is it easier to treat everyone the same if a bunch of them speak Spanish and you don't? What?
No one complains. Get in line.
Yeah, nobody complains. Yeah, that was the thing about communism. Nobody ever complained.
Take your check. What we are now witnessing...
Take your check and your one roll of toilet paper and your walnuts. What are the walnuts for? You eat the toilet paper. You wipe your ass with the walnuts.
Is the attempt to destroy...
Sorry.
American greatness. But Joe Biden...
Yeah, it's terrible. They want to go after America's greatness, which of course is not predicated on everyone getting a shot.
I like wood.
Communist goons underestimate all of us.
That's right. These goons, They're never going to get Grant Stankfield.
Field's army. That's a guarantee, folks.
Wait a minute. Did he just say Stanchfield's army? What was that?
Underestimate all of us, Stinchfield's army.
Stinchfield's army? Dude, this is... Your network has 1.8 million subscribers. You have 22,000 views. Army? Army. Really? Scout troop, maybe.
That's
ridiculous.
Guarantee, folks.
Yeah, that's right. Once Stankfield, yeah, the stinkers.
Their attempted communist takeover will be harder than they think.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult, especially since they're not actually trying to do it.
Because the American people are also smarter than they think, too.
The American people are smarter than the commies think they are, or the American people are smarter than they themselves think they are? I just got lost in pronoun hell, Stankfield. And by the way, he's not the only one who thinks this. They're all, oh God. Ugh. Do we even?
I'm Rudy Giuliani, and another episode of Rudy's Common Sense. Today, one that I'm very excited about because...
Yeah, I'm excited too.
We're going to interview and we're going to meet with a man who already has become a great contributor to this country and a true hero.
Yeah, he's truly a hero. I don't know who he is, but I mean, obviously it's amazing. It's got 133 rumbles. It's huge. So tell us, Rudy.
And he's running for the United States Senate in Missouri or Missouri. We're going to find out from him what the proper pronunciation is. And that is, of course, Eric Greitens. Eric, thank you very, very much.
Yeah, Eric, thanks for being here, man.
For joining us today.
Mr. Mayor, glad to be here. If you'll notice, I have several books that are similar. I've left the entire top shelf blank. I know that's a thing you like.
Mayor, honored to be on with you.
I've got, it's not the thinker, it's the shitter, obviously. It's the thinker, but he's on a bidet. And then, of course, these are 4 naked running men, which I'm a big fan of. These are some pictures that Matt Gaetz and I took on vacation, of course. And there's he's got a Spartan helmet because he's a white supremacist, and that's their little code to themselves. He's a former governor and candidate for U.S. Senate in Missouri.
I'm with you, sir. It is my pleasure. Great to be with you.
Let me just tell people this very, very impressive background. I'm
tell us all about it.
Really shortening it. And shortening.
Yeah, shortening. Just cut to the chase.
And making it as...
By the way, he's right. Biden is slipping and has dementia. You can tell by the way he talks and stammers.
Quick as possible, but people need to know. Just pick out the highlights. Rhodes Scholar.
Yeah, so is Rachel Maddow. I'm sure you agree that adds to her qualifications.
Went in the Navy, became a lieutenant commander with the SEALs. He won so many awards, it takes up 2 pages. So I'll pick out the Bronze Star, the Purple Heart, the Combat Action Ribbon. He was in action 4 times deployed.
Oh, kind of stuff that you guys wore purple Band-Aids to mock John Kerry for.
A true hero before his career even started.
I mean, he worked in the Navy for free?
When he left, he remained very, very faithful to the men and women in arms. He runs the mission, continues, which looks after veterans in a caring and very, very intelligent
veterans, people who used to be vets?
Way.
People who used to be veterinarians?
He's the 2022 candidate for the United States Senate, Republican ticket from Missouri. He's been the victim of a frame-up that,
terrible. He's a victim of a frame-up. He's so lucky to have found you.
He's got to do a movie on it. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Tell us about the frame-up. I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about.
Reminds me very, very much of what happened to President Trump. And then
President Trump.
And very unusual, complete vindication. He's one of the few people that was able to prove a negative. He's totally innocent.
Amazing. Incredible.
And he was the victim of Kim Gardner, who now is the prosecuting attorney trying to prosecute the McCluskeys in St. Louis for defending their lives. So you can
They weren't defending their lives. They were brandishing weapons on their lawn when people were walking by on the street.
get an idea. This Soros-selected prosecutor is a political ideologue.
Wow, that was quick. We went straight to Super Jew. Like,
and in a way, a political hitman rather than a real true prosecutor.
Well, obviously that's what he was sent by George Soros to do, right?
As a governor, he was elected in 2016. He started in January 2017 to June of 2018. Had only 7.
Why don't you just put a Wikipedia link below and we'll call it a day?
17 months. In 17 months, he accomplished more than I'm having a hard time thinking of a governor I would compare him to.
Yeah, I mean, because you don't know any governors?
Certainly a lot more than Governor Cuomo in my state, who maybe accomplished none of these things. I mean, just quickly, major ethics reform. So he alienated all the politicians immediately, all the establishment politicians.
Oh, so you wouldn't have been able to serve in the state.
Right to work, all the unions.
Yeah, right. Which has been great, by the way. If you've been to Kansas City, Missouri, you know how, if you go into Kansas City, Kansas, then go over to the Kansas City, Missouri side, I mean, you can really tell what right to work has done for the state.
He reformed the legal system. St. Louis used to be known as the worst judicial hellhole. He did tort reform. I know what happens when you do tort reform. All the trial lawyers, they want to get him out. Just to summarize it quickly, it had results. The state moved up, 8-10 notches as one of the top states for doing business. He started drawing new companies into Missouri that hadn't been coming there in a long, long time. And
what companies were those? Oh, casinos.
And they had to take him out. He was
Is that why they did? Business was too good.
Early victim of the cancel culture.
Oh, shit. I didn't realize he'd written a children's book.
With a capital letter.
Oh. A capital K?
Let's get this guy out of office before maybe he really straightens Missouri out.
Uh-oh.
But he didn't stop like the true Navy SEAL hero he is. He kept fighting. He vindicated himself.
Yeah.
And now he's running for the Senate. You never take it for granted, but he looks like the dominant candidate. So, Eric, if you want, let's start with the border because it's
Missouri's a border state.
The most pressing thing.
Absolutely.
A group.
By the way, again, this is the video Biden doesn't want you to see.
Of your soon-to-be colleague.
Greetings is accused of sexual assault and blackmail, and recording of his victim speaking out about the abuse is the basis for a local news investigation. Jury finds the evidence solid enough to indict him. On related charges, an investigator flubs a deposition. Prosecutor is forced to pull back. Criminal case against Greitens may have gone away, but he was hardly exonerated. Yeah.
Colleagues were down there.
Yeah, here, let me, if I might, if I may, if I could, if I would, and I do, Eric Greitens, whoops. Resignation. Let's see. He was totally exonerated. The final fall of Eric Greitens. Let's shrink this down a little bit. The Missouri Republican governor announced that he will resign rather than face impeachment over allegations of sexual misconduct and violations of campaign finance law. Missouri, so he was he was cleared. He proved a negative. Eric Greitens, once seen as a rising star and possible presidential candidate in the Republican Party, will resign on Friday, less than a year and a half into his term. The scandal-plagued Greitens made the announcement in a surprisingly defiant statement late Tuesday afternoon in Jefferson City, where he faced possible impeachment. He will be replaced by Lieutenant Governor Mike Parson. It's clear that for the forces that oppose us, there is no end in sight. I cannot allow those forces to continue to cause pain and difficulty to the people that I love. I know, and good people of faith know, that I am not perfect, but I have not broken any laws or committed any offense worthy of this treatment. The chick had it coming. The resignation caps a dizzying rise to office by first-time candidate, followed by a just as dizzying collapse. Governor faces an array of troubles, some stemming from an affair he conducted while running for governor, others related to persuasive alleged violation of campaign laws. The last few months have been incredibly difficult for me, my family, my team, my friends, and my victims, and for many people that I love. This ordeal has been designed to cause an incredible amount of strain on my family, millions of dollars of mounting legal bills, endless personal attacks designed to cause damage to family and friends, legal harassment, fake news. Despite his tone of persecution, the governor's troubles are seemingly self-inflicted. In recent weeks, Greeton's removal from office had become a foregone conclusion. The question was whether he would go under his own volition or wait to be impeached. The governor resigned hours after a judge ruled that Greitens must give legislators documents related to a New Missouri, an independent nonprofit formed shortly after he took office to see whether he illegally coordinated with the group. Greitens took office with what appeared to be an immaculate record, full ride scholarship to Duke. That's weird. All right. I'll tell you about that later. I was at one point offered a full ride scholarship similarly. That's weird. Where he designed his own major in ethics. He designed his own major in ethics. All right. Yeah, so you create your own ethics if you don't like the old ones. A Rhodes Scholarship, a stint in the Navy SEALs, a Purple Heart, Bronze Star, prestigious White House Fellowship, Foundation of Nonprofit Aid Veterans, all the same, but they were largely ignored. Let's see. A group of SEALs questioned his career with the unit and his medals, but they were largely ignored. That's weird. Open link in new tab. The lesson of Eric Greitens and the Navy SEAL who tried to warn us. The charges facing the embattled governor of Missouri have stunned voters, but in the tight-knit Navy special warfare community, Greitens has been a divisive figure for years. Let's see. Greitens wrote... okay. After the killing of Osama bin Laden by SEAL Team 6 in a 2011 raid, Navy SEALs became full-blown celebrities, and Greitens rode that fame to speaking tours, a spot on the Time Magazine's 2013 100 Most Influential People list, and eventually the governor's mansion. The success of the raid also intensified a growing division in the SEAL community. SEALs have traditionally embraced a culture of quiet professionalism. Part of the SEAL credo reads, "I do not advertise the nature of my work nor seek recognition for my actions." In the last 2 weeks, I spoke to a half a dozen current former SEALs about the spectacular implosion of Greitens' public image. Most chose not to go on record, but all expressed frustration that a peripheral and contentious figure in their community, one who served overseas but never served with SEALs in combat, became the public face of the SEAL community. Oh, good old stolen valor. Tell us all about it, Rudy.
Just a couple of days ago, this is...
Yeah, I mean, I can't even keep it straight.
You describe to us how you see this crisis. I mean, this is a horrible thing. It breaks your heart to see it because...
Yeah, but, I mean, what are you going to do? You got to throw the kids back.
Everything is wrong with it, but maybe give us your take on it.
Yeah, tell us all about it, Greitens.
Yeah, well, Mr. Mayor, you're exactly right. You put your finger on it. It is a crisis. And even if Biden refuses to say the word crisis, it is...
He doesn't refuse to say the word crisis. He disputes the use of the word crisis and says it's a challenge.
It is a crisis. It is...
Well, I know you got to think it's a crisis because you're running against him on principle.
An emergency. You know, you talk to the men and women who are down there on the front lines. You talk to the Customs and Border Patrol agents.
People who took the job down there because they don't like immigrants.
And what they will tell you, and there's video.
The ones that talk to you because they want to talk to you because they know you're a right-winger.
Video now you can see. We have turned control of the border over to Mexican gangs and cartels.
And that's the perfect place to leave children.
And they're literally running dozens of people from the same spot over minute after minute. And it leads to hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people. Biden has opened the border.
No, he hasn't.
He's created a crisis. And let's
No, he hasn't.
talk about like the kind of crisis that this is.
Yeah, tell us.
It's a national security crisis.
Uh-oh. Yeah. I mean, never mind the fact that the Iranians that we found coming across the border during the Trump administration came over the north border. But
okay, they're picking up people on the FBI's terrorist watch list who are coming through the southern border.
So they caught them. So it's working.
3 of them they just picked up from Yemen. So our adversaries recognize this.
That they think they can get across, but they can't?
And I will tell you, as a Navy SEAL who did deployments overseas,
yeah. He did deployments overseas. He wasn't in action as a SEAL, but now we know that.
Our adversaries will take advantage of our weaknesses. The southern border is a national security weakness. As you know, Mr. Mayor, you've been out there.
The northern border isn't?
Fighting crime. You took on the mob. You brought down crime in New York.
Well, he brought in the Russian and Chinese mob. He didn't take down the Italian mobs. He just replaced them.
This is also a problem that leads to increased crime across the country as you let criminals and as you let the Mexican gangs and cartels control the border. It has
We're not letting the Mexican cartels control the border.
Implications for
CBP is not working with the cartels.
Drugs. It has
not yet, anyways. We'll see if Trump does it when he comes back in August.
Implications for crime across the country. It's a public health issue. But most importantly, I think one of the things that we have to do as conservatives is also point out the heartlessness of the left.
That's what it is. We're heartless. The left just, it's gross.
Joe Biden and the folks around him on the left, they always want to talk about how they care about people, but they don't.
No, they clearly.
You know, Mr. Mayor, I worked with unaccompanied children who'd survived ethnic cleansing in Bosnia. I worked with unaccompanied kids who'd survived genocide in Rwanda.
Did you bring any of them here?
These are some of the most vulnerable children in the world. And the
don't get Rudy excited.
Unaccompanied vulnerable children.
See, again, please don't cut to Rudy. He'll be smiling.
That are
rubbing his hands together.
Being hurt by Mexican gangs, by drugs, by cartels because of Joe Biden's self-inflicted crisis. It is a humanitarian crisis. And it just...
Sorry, did those kids not exist and those gangs not exist before Biden was president?
Demonstrates the true heartlessness of the left.
Yeah, it's just heartless. I mean, that's what we're really shooting for. We don't really want to pick up the kids in the desert and feed them and make sure that they're inoculated against COVID or measles or any of those things, and teach them and make sure they're warm and safe until we can reunite them with their parents back in their home countries. It's not that. We just really want them to go through the hands of drug dealers. Think about that for a second. Just loosely think about what this dipshit is talking about. He's not talking about, like, these people's policies don't even realize that they're endangering these children. And they think by opening the border, what they've done is accidentally create this. No, he's saying it's a heartless decision, meaning that the purpose of the left supposedly wanting open borders, which they aren't, otherwise it wouldn't be unaccompanied minors, it'd be entire families and other people. If you you know what I mean? It kind of eats its own argument. But let's just say for the sake of it that the reason that he's arguing, the reason the left wants children crossing the border is not even to get in here to vote, 10 years from now for Democrats, which is the other plan, but it's because something about left-leaning people, Democrats, wants to see children go through the hands of drug cartels and be sexually assaulted and used as drug mules. That it's heartless. Remember, it's heartless. It's not a bleeding heart liberal thing where you're mistaken. His argument is that they want this to happen. That that the AOCs of the world and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and everybody desperately want children to be at the at the disposal, effectively, of cartels. That they want that. This goes to the kind of Rudy Giuliani argument that he makes that China sent the virus over here. That it was a bioweapon attack, which changes the entire context of Trump's response to it. It isn't just him not believing in it and saying it's not a big deal. It's that we were attacked and he shrugged off a bio Pearl Harbor. The same thing this guy is making. It's not an argument that the left, doesn't care. It's that they literally are hoping for it.
So what do you think is the thing that triggered it? He comes into office.
What do you think caused it? He comes into office and then...
I think some of it started in anticipation of his taking over, because for a year and a half, he and his... they almost sound like radical opponents for the Democrat nomination. Just kept trying to outdo each other. We'll let them all in. And then either it was Sanders or Warren who said, we'll give them all health care.
Is that what they said?
We'll let them vote.
Did we say that? Did anybody say that? Narrator, no one said that.
They might as well have sent a flyer around the world,
Well, no, that's what right-wing organizations have been doing to try and drive up the number of people coming up as they've been pushing this. But we'll get to that.
Come in and we'll take care of you for the rest of your life. And then he immediately reverses the Trump policies that had
which one?
The border under about as good a control as it has been in decades.
Yeah, I mean, comparing it to other times when there's been total lockdowns and borders have been effectively shut because of disease, it's close to that.
It wasn't perfect, but under fairly decent control and moving toward, the right direction.
Yeah, moving towards perfection.
So why did he do
remind me how Rudy is saying that Biden can't complete a sentence?
In a way, it's so counterproductive and so stupid.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like it's not even their goal or something.
Why did he do it?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I think what's very clear is that you have the most radical leftists who are pushing Joe Biden on all of these issues. And to your question about
Chuck Schumer, clearly, and Nancy Pelosi, radical.
How this happened.
Radical!
I think there are a couple things that were at play. Look, you already had, I'd say, this kind of blinking yellow light after Biden gave all of these signals to the Mexican drugs, to the cartels that we.
I'm sorry. He gave all these signals to the cartels and the Mexican drugs.
We were going to stop enforcing our own border, but
no one ever said that.
Then what happened was he got into office and he did two things. One was he immediately stopped the construction of President Trump's border wall, and when he stopped that was a signal that was heard around the world.
Eric, that may be illegal.
Yes, sir.
No, it isn't.
He may not have had the authority because the appropriation was already in progress.
No, he has direction of that. The president actually directed that via an executive order from other funds because the Congress did not give him wall money. He took it from another source. So all the president had to do when he came in was redirect those funds back to where they were originally supposed to go. I mean, all other xenophobic and racist decides that they're talking about, that is just baseline fuckery. They don't actually know what they're talking about. That's kind of fun.
So we'll have to see, but I mean...
We won't have to see. Trump got those funds via an executive order. An executive order can be undone.
And that was a massive signal, obviously.
It was a massive signal. Totally.
Huge, and the other.
But of course, Trump said it was already built. But people were already coming, even though he kept saying it was already built. While Trump was president, he kept telling everybody, "We've got a wall. The wall is great. The wall is working. It's almost done, and it's there's only a couple of miles left. But we've done over 500 miles of wall. It's basically done." He said that multiple times. It's going to be done in a couple months. It's finished, and yet.
The other thing, Mr. Mayor, which you and I have talked about in the past, he completely overstepped his bounds as an executive when he put a moratorium and he freezed the ability of Customs and Border Patrol agents to actually enforce America's laws.
No, they do enforce America's laws.
And I think this is...
But please, besides just saying that, explain to people what you mean by they can't enforce America's laws.
So important. Joe Biden has come.
You mean shooting children? Is that what you're hoping they do?
And the left has come in and they've said that they're going to decide which laws they're going to enforce. And it's a replay of the lawlessness. This is part of their strategy. You saw the lawlessness throughout the whole summer of 2020 when you had Soros-funded prosecutors and
wow, both of them are ringing the Super Jew dinner bell.
Others, they wouldn't prosecute looters. They wouldn't prosecute rioters.
They did prosecute looters and rioters, and Trump himself, like Biden was saying, anybody who breaks the law or destroys a business isn't protesting. They deserve to be punished to the fullest extent of the law. What were you listening to?
They wouldn't prosecute arsonists.
There was not a moratorium on not prosecuting arsonists. Are you drunk?
In Missouri, we had peaceful people engaged in prayer who were assaulted, and the Soros-funded prosecutor wouldn't prosecute them.
They were assaulted? How were they assaulted? Explain, give me the date.
What does that lead to?
Somebody just came into the church and beat the shit out of them, but a prosecutor wouldn't do it?
You know better than anybody, Mr. Mayor. It leads to a massive rise in violent crime around the country. The same thing happened at the border. They go to all of our border patrol.
So it wasn't Trump's fault, even though he was president, that there was a rise in crime. It was these Soros-funded Jewish prosecutors and judges.
Agents and our law enforcement, and they say, we're not going to enforce the law anymore. So you stop the border construction, you engage in lawlessness, and then you send all of these signals telling people to come, and you have the Biden-created border crisis.
This would be a time to take a short break.
This would be a time to take a short break.
I accomplished.
Aye. We'll skip. Ugh.
Bringing in people that we don't want to come in, hiding it with them, all kinds of deals. So the border is controlled right now, but it's controlled by Sinaloa, Golfo, Del Cartel, the Zetas, the whole group of them.
He knows them personally,
and we don't seem to have a clue. I don't mean the Border Patrol. I think they're ready to revolt. Biden doesn't seem to have a clue that he's done this.
Now, look,
I mean, it's like, obviously these aren't real children. They're obviously bags of meth with smiles drawn on them.
I don't even know. Look, the whole world is watching.
By the way, nice hand gesture. Look, I can't understand what you're saying, and therefore I'm putting my hands up in a way to show you that I'm rejecting what you're saying while still liking it.
What's happening with Joe Biden. There's a reason why Putin said that he wanted to debate Joe Biden.
Because he knew he had fans like you and Rudy.
There's a reason for that. I mean,
yeah, there is a reason. The reason is that word is that that Putin has Parkinson's, and that he's got dementia from it, and a lot of people are questioning his ability, so he's having to strongman.
He sees what's happening, and he wants to bring him out and expose him on the world stage. And also, the whole world is watching. The Chinese are watching. The Russians are watching. Iran and the Ayatollah, they're all watching what's happening, and they're seeing.
Yeah, they're always watching. And
this weakness.
Oh, it's terrible. They're seeing this weakness.
It's coming from the Joe Biden regime.
Terrible. He gave in to China immediately. He gave in to Russia immediately. He didn't.
And everyone is taking advantage of it. It's not just the Mexican drug cartels.
Sure.
No.
Right? You had
sure.
Iran just recently firing a missile at an Israeli ship. That doesn't happen, I'm telling you, when you have a President Trump in office who took a much harder line against Iran. And keep in mind,
they did all kinds of shit while he was in office. Let's see. Iranian forces fire on. Let's see. Rain blast. These are this is the strike force. There we go. Iran fires cruise missiles. That's the one he's talking about, by the way. This is January 14th. January 7th, Iran fires rockets at U.S. forces in Iraq. This is all while Trump is still president. May 9th, 2018, Iranian forces fire rockets at the Golan Heights. January 8th, 2020, Iran fires on U.S. forces at 2 bases in Iraq. Burning ships of the sea. 7 ships catch fire. Iranian fires missiles at military base. January 8th, 2020. In drill, Iran fires at mock carrier because they put the American-looking ship out there. Fuel tanker blasted Afghan, causes massive fire. There you go. So at no time did Iran fire on anyone, Israel or the U.S. during Trump's administration, except when they did.
I always like to remind people, President Trump's peace through strength policy overseas, it worked.
Iranian forces fired missiles at military bases housing U.S. troops in Iraq in retaliation for the U.S. killing of Iranian general. 15 missiles landed at Ain al-Assad air base. 2 missiles landed west of the city of Hit but didn't go off. 5 missiles, which is an ironic moment. I mean, if you hit and yet the missiles don't go off. Is it really a hit? 5 missiles targeted Erbil coalition headquarters. 22 missiles were launched on the Ain al-Assad air base that houses U.S.-led coalition troops in western Anbar province and a base in the Iraqi Kurdish capital Erbil, according to the Iraqi military. No Americans were harmed in last night's attack with the Iranian regime. We suffered no casualties. All of our soldiers are safe, and only minimal damage was sustained to our military bases. The attack came hours after Mark Esper said the United States should expect retaliation over the U.S. killing of Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani. But please tell us again, if you would.
For the first time in a generation, we actually got peace. We had the Abraham Accords, and
where we give $50 billion worth of arms to 3 countries that consider Israel
his team, with Jared Kushner, with Avi Berkowitz, with Ambassador David Friedman, they were able to create peace, to normalize relations with Israel.
With Bahrain, by giving them $50 billion in arms.
Things worked. He took a harder line with Iran. As you and I have talked, he took a harder line with China. So what's happening is on the...
I'm sorry. That part I missed. 1 second. Let's see. This would probably be, let's see. Trump, China, largest purchase, corn. Let's just try that one. China buys corn and soybeans to keep me happy, says Trump. The expected six-month review of the Sino-U.S. trade agreement failed to materialize on Saturday, but President Trump expressed satisfaction with the increasing pace of farm export sales to China during a news conference. By the way, this is 8/17/2020. This is after China attacked us with a bioweapon, according to Rudy Giuliani. But, as long as they're buying corn, Trump's happy. Who cares if they attacked us and killed 500,000 Americans?
It's just one indication of the way that our adversaries see Joe Biden's weakness, and it's bad for the American people.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely true.
Yeah, of course. Why? I mean, obviously, you believe your guess.
What? I think immediately when Biden answered the question that he said that Putin was a killer, I mean, Putin seemed to be ready for it.
Well, yeah, I mean, he knows how Biden feels about him.
I mean, the guy may be evil, but he's very smart. And we cannot underestimate him.
So we shouldn't call him a killer because that plays right into his hands.
Immediately, the jab. Are you healthy, Mr. President? I hope you're healthy. Obviously indicating he had just gone through that horrible performance during his first press conference where he couldn't remember. He couldn't even read his notes. And then he said, let's have a debate. And of course, they went into a shell, indicating the President of the United States can't stand up for us. But I think you're right. I think all these things...
Why would Biden set up a debate based on the ego of a tin pot dictator running a country with an economy smaller than Italy's just to make you feel better?
Connected. North Korea flying missiles over Japan again. Iran attacking again. Everybody's pushing. They want to see what's the breaking point. So far, Biden's letting them do it. Now, what would you do, just specifically?
Yeah, tell us what you'd do in your presidency.
From the point of view of the Senate.
Yeah.
What would you do in the Senate? They're also trying to put through this immigration reform where they would basically make every illegal a citizen. 12 million, could be 20 million.
Yeah, I mean, it says 11, and it's focused on the DACA thing, and it's an 8-year to 10-year plan. But yeah, it could be 20. Just make it 20.
Probably,
25.
if ever going to do that, whether it makes sense, just the absolutely worst time to do it.
What is the good time to do it?
I mean, you can't. If you could pick a worse time.
Can you?
I can't imagine a worse time to do it. But what?
Yeah, 4 years after Trump.
What would you do? And it seems like your future colleagues are pretty hot about this.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we need to do is that we need to be very...
You didn't call him Mr. Mayor this time.
...clear about what works for the American people. And it's very clear that what works are the policies that President Trump put in place. Of course, we need to construct a border wall. And instead of setting up our law enforcement officers...
By the way, this guy is running to be the cleaner, younger version of Trump. And he's even got a sexual assault charge in his background to win over those maggots.
For failure on the border. Instead, we need to actually go in and support them. We need to have the backs of our law enforcement officers. As you know, Mr. Mayor, it means a tremendous amount from a morale perspective when our law enforcement officers know that we support them, that we have their back, that we're behind them. It's an incredibly difficult job. They have to make dozens of difficult decisions.
Yeah, and one of the things you could do is pass the comprehensive immigration bill so they're not just playing whack-a-mole all the goddamn time.
Every single night. And we have...
How is, honest to God, what's having their back about continuing to let the border issues that exist still exist?
We have to find ways to get in there to support our law enforcement officers.
By the way, I'm still confused as to why, and maybe you guys can, why this is the video Biden doesn't want you to see. Does anybody know? Doesn't this sound like run-of-the-mill Newsmax bullshit?
I also think that we need to send a very strong signal to our allies that we're actually going to support them. President Trump stood strong for Israel, and what happened? You got peace in the Middle East.
Sorry, do we have one ally?
President Trump was also willing to, when he needed to use force, he was willing to kill Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian butcher who was one of the lead sponsors of state terrorism.
Because he asked everybody, like, why am I not getting credit for the Osama bin Laden kill? He just wanted, it's like a bowling trophy.
In the world, President Trump took that action.
Remember Biden criticized him for that.
Right. Yeah, because it was an extrajudicial murder of a military leader who wasn't engaged in warfare at the time, while in another country we have a treaty with.
Biden also advised Obama not to kill bin Laden.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He wanted to make sure he was there when they sent the team in. They weren't 100% sure. He goes, I would wait a couple of days. By the way, there was no sign that Osama bin Laden was moving anytime soon. They were going to send in drones and other stuff to see if he was in there for sure.
And I really do think that Secretary of Defense Gaetz, who served with him in the Obama administration, was not exaggerating when he said that Biden has been wrong about every foreign policy decision for the last 30 years.
He was right about the surge.
Been wrong on all of these foreign policy issues. And again, Mr. Mayor, obviously you were there. There was a time when the country and the whole world was kind of, you carried us on your shoulders through.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate it. We all owe Rudy an apology for his bad back.
9/11.
Okay, honest to God, I'm so fucking bored of this yammer. I still don't know why it's the video he doesn't want everybody to see. Okay, one last thing before we go. Oh God, Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham says, this is, by the way, this is about the infrastructure bill. He says, voting for this bill will screw corporate America. Apparently, he hasn't seen the polling that says that appeals to a lot of people.
Joining us now, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. Senator, I want to ask you for a reaction to that angle because corporations have long considered Republicans to be their greatest defenders against the high tax, big regulation of the left and the Democrats. If they do this to Georgia, are you prepared to say all bets are off with these corporations?
Yeah, basically. If corporations can just do whatever they want and like have their own values, the government needs to step in and tell private corporations, tell them, commie Lindsey Graham.
Well, I wish everybody could hear what you just said. You summed it up pretty well.
Yeah, but nobody's going to. I mean, obviously, there's 7 million Fox subscribers on this channel and only 52,000 watch it there. Now, granted, a lot of people watched it on the air itself. Her ratings are fairly solid. I mean, they're no Newsmax or OAN. Luckily for her.
Well, number one, these CEOs are full of crap.
Well, okay, that's a good start. All right.
They're running scared. Georgia is trying to make sure that everybody can vote legally.
But just not have access to machines, and if you try to stand in line for a long time, because it should be illegal to be dehydrated.
Georgia has a 17-day early voting period, including weekends.
Except for Sunday.
Delaware, where President Biden's from, has no early voting. You don't have to have a reason to cast an absentee ballot in Georgia. You just want to. So you can vote robustly in Georgia, but now you got to prove you are who you are, and that's driving the left crazy because it's harder to cheat. To Delta, to Microsoft, to Coca-Cola.
Yeah, they don't think things through.
What do you think about H.R. 1? Are you okay with H.R. 1?
Yeah, probably.
Where redistricting will be done at the federal level, not the state level?
Well, yeah. Have you seen some of the Republican districts? Jim Jordan wouldn't be elected if it wasn't for the fact that his district looks like a duck from an Atari game in 1983.
Where ballot harvesting will be the law of the land, that we will obliterate voter ID laws.
Well, you have to actually give people an ID first.
H.R. 1 passes corporate America, you're screwed beyond belief.
Well.
There'll be no limit to what Democrats can do to your
no, forever screwed.
Tax rates and to your regulation structure. So if you really care about the future of your business and your shareholders, you'll speak up against H.R. 1, the biggest power grab in the history of the United States.
Why is it the biggest power grab? If it equalizes voting for everybody, do you guys not think you can win on an equal footing?
And while denouncing the Georgia voter law, Senator Graham, the Coca-Cola CEO, James Quincy, also said, our focus is now on supporting federal legislation that protects voting access and addresses voter suppression across the country.
Well, you have to understand, Coca-Cola owns two of the biggest water companies, and you wanted to add a law where you can't hand out water. That's part of their Get Out the Vote, like Rock the Votes campaign. It's a way they build product loyalty.
That is...
You're the dumbest CEO in the history of America, because if H.R. 1 becomes law, ballot harvesting will be the law of the land. States will be run by the most liberal people in Washington. There'll be federally funded elections, redistricting.
Federally funded elections? Oh my God.
Will be done by liberal Democrats.
No, they'll be done by nonpartisan groups.
Federal Election Commission will be partisan. If you think that's a good deal for corporate America or hard...
Well, you make it sound so terrible. It's almost as if it's not completely a lie.
Working Americans, then you're crazy and you need to be fired. I think they all need to be asked tomorrow, do you support H.R. 1 that's now pending before the Senate? Because if you do, as a corporate CEO, you're destroying your shareholders' ability to thrive and survive.
Why? Why? I mean, I mean, obviously, there's money to be made in killing off. I have to shrink this down a little bit. There's money to be made in, killing off a big chunk of your voters because you think COVID's a plandemic.
But Senator, I laid out in the angle, most of these...
Oh, in the angle, right? That's her opening thing.
CEOs have no hesitation about bowing down to China with everything they're doing, both in Hong Kong, their plans, I'm sure, in Taiwan, what they've done to their own people.
You can't, it's getting to the point where you can't trust multinational corporations anymore. What is the world coming to?
People in China, they have no problem. And now they're going to lecture Georgia?
Yes. Yes, they are. Because they can do something about Georgia. They can't really do anything about China.
And they think they're not going to deal with the wrath of the American people?
No, they're not. They're going to sell more water and Coke and Sprite. Nobody gives a shit.
Give me a break.
Okay. Is 20 seconds long enough? I mean, obviously. All right, yeah.
Well, what they're doing in Georgia is requiring you to prove you are who you are when you vote by mail, which is a good idea. I want people to be able to vote robustly, easily, but I want to make sure that it's an honest vote. So,
and if somebody's at home by themselves, you want somebody there that can vote on their behalf.
The people in Georgia, the CEOs, they don't know what they're... Joe Biden has no idea what's in the Georgia election law. Jim Crow was a time in our country where people were beaten so they couldn't vote. Dogs were unleashed on them. They had...
Yeah, don't get too wistful. You're starting... Yeah, you're threatening Laura Ingraham with a good time.
Poll taxes. They had literacy.
You mean like having to pay for an ID when you get one so that you can vote?
Test. To compare that to Georgia is an offense to the people in Georgia. It's what the left does to try to get us all to bend to their will, as you said. I am tired of it. Joe.
Well, I'm sorry you're tired. You look tired.
Manchin, do what West Virginia wants and you'll be fine. Don't let Jim Clyburn and the radical left beat you up and get you to submit to voting for H.R. 1. If you
tie you up, bind you, gag you, put a scarf in your, a little bit of this.
care about the people of West Virginia, Arizona, North Carolina, you name all these states, then stand up for the ability of your state to conduct a fair election the way they see fit.
Yeah.
Don't turn all the power over to the federal government.
You mean for federal elections?
Major League Baseball better be very careful. The viewers
shots fired.
in Major League Baseball are very conservative. Senator,
Amen.
before we go, after your recent visit to the border, I believe you have a message for President Biden and Dr. Fauci. What is it?
Yeah, tell him. Let's hear. I'm sure it's fantastic. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, President Biden said to the Texas Ranger baseball team, talking about baseball, you need to listen to Dr. Fauci about urging people to come to the baseball game opening day. Dr. Fauci, you need to go to the border. And here's what you will see. You will see 900 people in a room built for 80. You will see people living on top of each other, a 10% positive rate where the positive people intermingle with everybody else, and all these illegal immigrants are dumped off in Texas and the rest of the country. So, Dr. Fauci, you need...
Well, no, they're separating once they test them. It's an averaging of 10%. It doesn't mean that they've got separate places.
Need to go to the border, and if you're not...
And get as confused as I am.
...compelled to shut down this illegal immigration program, I don't want to hear anything you got to say about baseball or restaurants. It is the biggest, in my view, COVID spreader in the world.
Besides, of course, now that there aren't Trump rallies.
Along the border where thousands of legal immigrants are coming to this country.
Thousands of legal immigrants?
Positive, 10% positive rate, intermingled with each other, dropped out all over Texas and the rest of America. So I'm not worried about the baseball game in Texas. I'm worried about illegal immigrants infecting the whole country, given the policies that Biden has. So,
it's terrible. The amount, I mean, it's just, how do they even? Oh, God, it's so tiring. We don't even need this. You did not see the moose. That was not a moose. You did not see a moose just then. Just saying. So weird. Interesting. Yeah. I think we'll call it a night because I've got to get prepped for radio and it's 5:30 and I appreciate you guys. I can't let the show just kind of drift on and on. It's just too much work. So I'll let you guys go tonight. Thanks for hanging out and I appreciate it. Thanks for all the support, guys. Thank you for gifting the subs to people. Thank you, Christine FF and Potato and Rexmo and let's see, and DJ Chip. Thank you for resubscribing. That's really cool. Thank you, Lauren Ipsum. And I will see you guys for the regular show tomorrow, for real. And I will have some Shakespeare news. Probably Monday. We'll talk about that. But the May 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th in Tallahassee, Florida, I will be playing Malvolio in 12th night in Tallahassee. So if anybody gets vaccinated and feels like taking a long car drive and it's within a 5-hour range or something, it may be worth it. I will work to make sure it. Yeah. And there was no moose. You did not see a moose. Just saying. But I'll have more information on that on Monday. You guys are fantastic. Thanks for hanging out. I'll let you go early. I feel like I hung on to you far too long the last 2 days. So otherwise I'll yeah. So happy Easter to everybody. Happy Good Friday to those of you that celebrated. Happy Passover and to those who celebrate that. And remember, well, I'll get into trouble. I'm gonna get into trouble. I'm starting to turn into Joe Biden. Remember, never mind. I'll talk about it later. Thank you, Jessica. Buy a new PC. Oh, I'll try. I also think an LG would be happier. It might be. It may be. We'll see. So take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And I will see you guys next time. Bye bye. See you later. Yay.
I like wood.
Transvestite.
Wow.
Captain's log. Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Babar.
They're not allowed to be offensive, unfortunately.
Butthole!
Yosemite, Yosemites.
Michigan gave us Motown.
gave us Motan. Michigan gave us Motan.
Sportos, motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads. They all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.